What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
I'm a bad boy.
Bad boys, what you gonna do?
RadioWhat.com. What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com radio station that I've been running for quite some time now. And if you need DJ services, I encourage you to go to DJLittleRock.com. Check availability, get your free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your event as your DJ. It's wedding season, and you know I likes the weddings. Last night I had a wedding at the Maumelle Center by the lake. What a great venue. I think we sent off Brandon and Eileen Dent off in style. It was, just a nice selection of music and a selection of people. People are people. Love it. She's from Guatemala and he's from Little Rock, I think. So we had salsa, merengue, pop, country, rock. Oh, you pick it. We played it. And yeah, we had quite a few people that requested songs as well. So Maumelle Center by the lake, I commend you. Good job. Nice room. Had the reception inside the nice room, but outside they had the wedding. It was a little bit hot, kind of a hot day, not covered so well outside on the lawn. The grounds are kept really nice though, and it's real pretty. So had a nice little wedding outside and had the reception inside. Good food, good people, good times. Yes. Thank you so much, Brandon and Eileen Dent, for having me at your wedding. Oh, good times. Oh, look for the pictures. I'll be putting up some pictures real soon. On the program today, I'm so stoked. I got a foursome in there. That's right, me and four young lads that are in a band. The band? Oh, SiedSwipe. Yeah, it's nothing but SiedSwipe out of the Central Arkansas area and heading beyond. SiedSwipe is spelled SiedSwipe. Look for them online. Yeah, you could find them. They cover a lot of rock and roll music, but they're now coming up with some original stuff. And I had the chance to talk to them a little bit. I went over to Joel Fountain's house, the lead singer, and visited the Mockingbird Studios. I love it. It was good. And at the end of the podcast, you're going to hear some originals by the band SiedSwipe. So stay tuned for that. It's a nice long podcast, man. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the sounds of SiedSwipe on the What Makes You Famous podcast. Let's start it now. Say it again.
Old Town Road by one of the new guys, Lil Nas.
Lil Nas X. Yeah. You mean the song I played last night and every night since it came out? Yeah. So I have the clean version. I had a prom in Hector, and I think that was the first time that I played Old Town Road, and I had to look it up real quick. And thankfully they had internet. So anytime a place has internet, I have every song in the world ever made at my fingertips, of course, including the songs of SiedSwipe.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's the thing about internet is like just changed the music industry so much because, back in the day you had to go buy a record or, they hear it on the radio, but we got radio today, but internet, you can download pretty much any song for free.
Yeah.
So,
the artists have to play live now to make any money. Yeah. The whole music industry seems to have changed in that respect. I guess that would be, CDs are gone.
Yeah.
So nobody's making money on CDs. Records definitely gone. 8-tracks. What's an 8-track, Daddy? I don't know. You know. So
my dad was telling me the other day. He said whenever he got his first car, it had an 8-track in it.
Sure.
But everyone started going to cassettes, so he had to get a cassette adapter.
Yeah.
My second car I got a cassette adapter with an aux cord.
Correct.
So it's gone full circle.
It just keeps going. And aux cord is gone because now there's Bluetooth.
Yeah.
So what do you need an aux cord for?
I don't know what they're gonna do after Bluetooth. But
Bluetooth looks like it's here for a while.
Yeah.
Some kind of wireless. So hopefully they don't change it because then the whole industry will have to change again.
You know, Bluetooth's older than me. Came out in 99.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
I just became even older. Thank you. You came out in 99.
I came out in 2000.
Hey, well, all right.
He came out in 99.
Yeah, that's me. I'm 99, baby.
99. Well, all right. We're waiting for some more boys. I guess you can introduce yourself.
Certainly, of course. Well, my name's Joel Fountain. We're doing the podcast here in my house on the Mockingbird Lane. It's kind of funny. Every time that we record anything, whether it be like on Hunter's phone, like a little snippet here and there, we call it Mockingbird Lane. So I guess you can call it Mockingbird Studios. But yeah, I've lived in Conway my whole life, and I just love classic rock. And thankfully, I met some people that share the same interests musically, and here we are now, just busting out new tunes and trying to get as much coverage out there as we can. And thankfully, we got Keys Dan here to help us out with that. So I'm pleased, and it's going to be good.
Well, I rolled up on the house in this fine Sunday morning, and I found Joel Fountain sweeping outside, cleaning, making his mom and dad proud, I'm sure, cleaning up the house. Who all lives here at this Mockingbird house?
So it's just me and my dad for right now.
Yeah.
We just hang out here, and for now it's just me and my dad. And I think my mom and my sister, they've got an apartment down on the other side of Conway. So, but they're moving into a 2-bedroom, so gonna have to help them move in here in a little bit. But anything for them, it's my pleasure. So
Such a good boy. Well, it's a nice living space. Now, Joel is sitting here to my right, and over to my left-ish, there's another gentleman. Who are you?
I'm a bass player. I often forgot about in mini bands, but no, I'm Logan.
Logan. It's a good name these days.
Oh yeah.
With the X-Men.
Yes. Yeah.
Logan.
I'm not 50.
You don't go snickety?
I don't. It's kind of hard. I mean,
how's your healing power?
I'm working on it.
Have you been hurt?
Yeah, every once in a while.
Been downhearted, baby?
Yeah, I think I can try to attempt, jumping off a skateboard over some alligators or something like that. But
yeah, I used to be invincible.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. Now, when I came in, you were setting up a chess set, and I noticed there's some pieces missing.
Yes. Yeah.
What happened, man?
That's the first time I've seen that chess set.
Oh, all right. I guess you play chess?
Yeah.
So are you the smart one in the band?
I don't want to brag, but I mean, sure.
He doesn't want to brag, but yes, he is.
Humility, I like it. It's really cool. No, but Logan really is probably the most humble whenever we go to perform.
Yes.
The front man, he's jumping around, he's trying to get the crowd going, and Hunter likes to see the crowd going too, and we're going wild. But Logan, it's kind of like the foundation of the band. It just keeps it strong and doesn't need to jump around or do anything extravagant. He's just doing it with his fingers. So he's letting the music jam and keeping us excited through our ears and our listening. So
all right, so SiedSwipe, where did that name come from? I noticed it's spelled kind of interesting as well. SiedSwipe. Where did SiedSwipe, the name, come from?
It's a funny story.
Oh, Logan, go. Tell the story.
Well, back in 9th grade, me and Hunter and Grant were in 9th grade, and it was just us three at the time. And we've had several lineup changes, but I think this is the best one we've had so far. But at that time, we weren't even a band. Grant, his house, his old house, he lived in the plantation in Mayflower, and it got destroyed by a tornado.
Oh.
But he moved over on Lake Conway, and I live on Lake Conway, so we weren't that far apart.
Right.
And, we were being stupid. His parents weren't home, and I jumped off his second-story balcony, and I just said, "SiedSwipe," or something like that. I can't remember, but we were like, that'd be an awesome name for a band. And then we just started jamming, I guess.
It is an awesome name for a band. Now, just so you know, listeners of mine and ours, I have 2 of the members of SiedSwipe. The other 2 are late. And when you mentioned they were late, who said it? I think Logan said something about the boys. What was it?
Oh man, we're all gonna be late to our own funeral, but they're like the 2-headed monster of the band. They're together all the time.
So who are we waiting for?
Hunter and Grant Leslie. Hunter Stegall and Grant Leslie.
All right, we'll let them introduce themselves when they get in here.
Yes.
But for right now, I'm talking to Joel Fountain and Logan. I didn't even get
Wiley.
Logan Wiley. Yeah,
Check it out.
Of course. The members of the SiedSwipe. Now, these young fellas, they've been playing for a little while. How long have you been playing together with SiedSwipe, Joel?
Well, I actually played in the band with another band member. His name's Will Horton.
It's his birthday today, too.
It's actually his birthday today, so...
Happy birthday, Will Horton.
Shout out to him. He's a really talented guy, like probably one of the best guitarists I've ever seen, for his age.
Very technically inclined.
Exactly. I actually knew Will Horton from high school, and he, well, of course, like I said earlier, I like classic rock, so obviously he liked classic rock, and we kind of hung out, and sure enough, he asked me, hey, you want to be in a band? And I guess he knew that I could sing, because I guess in high school I was always, singing or doing something musically. So joined up with a band, and that was actually a time when we was a 5-piece. Most people don't really know that, but yeah, we were a 5-piece, and I'd say I played for them for a solid year.
Yeah.
And then we took a break for a little while. One of my other passions is martial arts, so I started to progress in that area, and I started developing a career out of it. And once I, kind of get, settled into my career path, they offered me a place back in the band, and here we are now.
And Will,
a career out of martial arts? What do you do with martial arts?
Well, I'm an instructor. I teach Taekwondo. I'm a 3rd-degree black belt, and a lot of kids or adults come into the studio, and maybe some parents are looking for their kids to build confidence or to build discipline, and we do that through our martial arts programs. Through like punching and kicking. They like it because they're they get to like do active stuff, but we're incorporating the discipline there, and that's something that they use for the rest of their life. And I'm a proud instructor of All-Star Martial Arts. I've been doing it since I was 16 years old, and I'm 20 now, so I've been doing that for 4 years, and I've been loving every minute of it. So.
You've been doing the instructing since 16, or have you been doing the martial arts since before that?
Well, I actually started when I was 11.
11.
Yes, and if you want to look at that photo right there, I know the listeners probably can't see it, but we might post it as the podcast like a tagline. But yeah, that was me when I was about 11 or 12, and the reason why I got started actually was because of my dad, and I gave him all the credit for my martial arts ability. I gave him all the credit for my teaching ability as well, and I'm super thankful that he got me started in it. And funny thing is, I didn't want to go. The first couple times I was like, I'd rather be playing video games, Dad, or whatever. And as I got older, mixed martial arts has become so much more popular in this day and age. And there's a thing called UFC, and I used to watch that a lot. And man, I just loved it so much. So I developed a love for martial arts, and I wanted to go back to Taekwondo because I wanted to do it, and I'm sure my dad was stoked because he knew all the benefits of it, and just kept training and practicing, and sure enough, I got to a level where I can teach other people.
So has Taekwondo been the only martial art that you've been involved in, or have you done other martial arts?
Well, that's what I started when I was 11. I actually picked up jiu-jitsu recently. That's my gi right behind you. Got a white belt there, and I've been doing that for almost a year. And man, I can tell you, it's a lot more difficult than Taekwondo because Taekwondo, you might kick somebody one time or two times, and that'd be the end of the match. But jiu-jitsu is a lot more grueling. You have to be pulling and tugging and taking people down to the ground, and it's beautiful martial art too, but like I said, it's a lot more tough than Taekwondo. So.
Well, I remember when I started taking Taekwondo, you make your feet like your hands, and it's a lot of farther away martial arts, like hitting. Well, you say hitting and kicking, and I say kicking and screaming, because really every time I was trying to do splits, that my instructor would push me down and so it may be a little more flexible with martial arts. Well, party people, look who fell into the gig. Finally, we got another two members of our fine SiedSwipe Band. Who are you, sir?
My name's Hunter Stegall. I play guitar in SiedSwipe.
Guitar and SiedSwipe. And then, me being the bad podcaster that I have 4 microphones and 5 people. And we have one lost, forgotten member out there. And he can sit next to Hunter, or he can sit next to Joel. Either way, these are omnidirectional microphones. They're using my lavalier mics with the Zoom H4n Pro. So I encourage you, if you're wanting to get into podcasting or even playing instruments, get the Zoom H4n Pro. You can plug your mics right into it. You can plug your instrument right into it. It's real easy for podcasting. And right now I'm recording 4 channels, so I can individually raise and lower the channels in case anybody's a soft-spoken person. But now that I've done the infomercial for the H4n Pro, we got the last but not least. Yeah, that's very last but not least. Haven't said that in a while. Member of SiedSwipe. Who are you, sir?
I'm Grant. Or Grant Leslie.
Just Grant Leslie. No reason he's here. No, what do you do?
I play the drums.
He plays the drums.
I do.
He's the backbeat.
Very well, too.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. And he's humble. Humbleness runs in the band.
Arguably the most eye-appeasing to the is that how you say that?
He is. He's pretty hot, ladies.
Yeah.
You'll want to look him up on the Facebook, the Instagrams, the Twitters. Any way you can get a hold of Grant Leslie, you do it. You do it. Do it now.
Buy his premium Snapchat.
Yeah. Oh, screaming Snapchat?
Premium.
See, I tried to get into Snapchat, but I'm 50 and I'm old, and I Snapchatted, and it's gone.
We're young and enterprising. We're all in the enterprise.
What's that?
I said age is subjective. We're all young and enterprising.
Wow. I pulled that one out. Thank you, Mr. Hunter. I appreciate that. Now I feel much younger. Oh.
Betty White, man.
So this is the first podcast that I've had where I've had 4 young men in front of me, and I think the most I've had on a podcast is 2. I had a husband and wife on there, and I have 4. So this one could go long, folks. Huh. We got time. It's Sunday, lazy Sunday, hanging out on Mockingbird Lane in Conway, Arkansas, just to give you an idea. And Joel and Logan have been chit-chatting for a little while. Let's hear from Hunter. Yeah. Hunter, tell me how you started playing the guitar.
I got fairly into playing just music about the age of 13. I was listening to a lot of Gorillaz and the Beatles. Beatles were kind of a gateway band to a lot of other things. Brought me into Oasis, Blur, a little bit of Eric Clapton, Bob Marley. Started listening to a lot of 70s and 60s. But Gorillaz was like a blend of that mixed with reggae dub and chill wave and trip hop, and I thought it was a really cool blend of all these musical genres and all this inspiration I had taken. And then I got more into guitar heavy music, where it's like, more brash, I guess you could say, when I started listening to about stuff like Nirvana, Foo Fighters, Melvins, just stuff like that, 90s alternative.
Yeah, first time I heard the the song Clint Eastwood by the Gorillaz. It blew my mind.
Oh,
it really was good. A blend of different genres. Was that one that you listened to that kind of touched you?
I still mess around with it. Like sometimes I'll put it on and I'll just do improv over it, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to jam over. It uses, the verses from De La Soul are really cool, and it blends really well. It's a good blended genre, you know.
De La Soul, one of my favorite hip hop bands from the 80s. I remember MTV, and this is dating me, of course. I remember the MTV devoted a whole day to De La Soul. It was called the De La Day. And the original Ed Lover and Dr. Dre were not that Dr. Dre, the other Dr. Dre, who were in Yo MTV Raps. They took De La Soul and made a whole De La Day. Potholes in My Lawn. Man, if you get a chance, take a listen to De La Soul. Now, okay, see, I got to make sure that I keep all the names right. I got Joel, I got Logan, I got Hunter, I got Wiley.
I got Wiley, yes.
Come on, Wiley, bring it over here. He likes to, he was sitting next to Hunter sharing his mic, but then when he figured out that I wasn't going to go to him first, he quickly moved away from Hunter. Does Hunter stink?
Yes.
A little bit, okay.
Smell like pizza, bad decisions.
I can deal with it for a little bit.
Well, grab that lavalier from Hunter and let's do a little chit chat with the Wiley.
The Wiley.
Which
Wiley?
Grant Wiley.
The coyote.
Like this one?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, look at that. Okay. All right. Logan has a tattoo of Wiley Coyote.
Mark of the beast.
Dig it. So we're going to talk with Logan, with Wiley, the backbeat.
Same person.
See, you got me all yeah,
He's Grant.
Grant.
Yeah.
Grant. We're going to talk with Grant.
G-Rant.
Is it cool if I have it here?
G-Man.
No, you got to put it next to your talking hole.
Yeah.
That is his talking.
Yeah. He put it down next to his waist, and that's nowhere near his talking hole. But I guess if you just hold it up for him or just put it on your shoulder, either way.
Clip it on his beard.
Teamwork.
Hey, that's excellent.
Oh,
excellent.
Sweet.
So, all right, I got to get all these names right. Joel to my right. Logan up ahead of me.
Logan Wiley.
Logan Wiley. Hunter Stegall over that away. And Grant Leslie.
Yes.
Grant Leslie.
That's it.
Providing the backbeat for the band SiedSwipe. We're still chit-chatting here on Mockingbird Lane. Tell us how you got into the... what are drums made out of anyway?
Just a different selection of wood. It depends on, tree, and it depends on the, the drum itself. Each drum is made differently with different types of wood and stuff. But
let's talk about your drum set.
Metal, maple.
Maple. Well, do you hit the maple or do you hit? Well, what's on top of it that makes the sound?
It's a coated head, and it's
real cow skin.
Real cow skin and
cow skin.
No, not real cow skin, but it's I actually don't know what the head is made out of.
Yeah.
But it's just a coated sheet, and you just hit it, and it resonates sound with the drum.
So why'd you mention cow skin? Is that what drums were made out of?
No, it's just a joke from third grade.
Third grade. So have you guys known each other for a while?
For a very long time.
I've gone to school with Grant since kindergarten.
Yes.
Since second grade.
Kindergarten. Here in Conway, Arkansas?
We went to Mayflower. But
Mayflower.
We met Will because he went to the same Conway Institute of Music as Grant.
Yeah, I've pretty much known these guys my whole life. So Joel.
Will introduced us to Joel.
We had a guy before this, or before Joel came back in, and his name was Will. He was our other guitar player, but he's in California now. But he actually introduced us to Joel. So that's how Joel came to be in this whole project, actually.
So 4-swipe became 5-swipe, and then it went back to 4-swipe, and then 5-swipe, and then we went back to 3-swipe, because Will had gone away to Musicians Institute, for college, and which was pretty cool. And then we finally, we kind of reconnected with Joel, and now we're in our final wave, I would believe, where we're going to stick with it because it's been the most consistent.
Yeah, this looks pretty solid, this band, and I've gotten the chance to see you a couple times. What's the advantage and disadvantage of having one guitar or two guitars 3 guitars. What's a 5-piece, a 4-piece? Hunter, you can take this one. You're the guitarist in the band.
I fixed the microphone.
Well, the thing with being in a 3-piece band is it's pretty easy to do, but like there are a lot of songs that require doing more than one guitar part. So then it kind of puts a lot of stress on the bass roll, and it's just a matter of like how intensely we can mix it and how proficiently we can do it, because having that extra guitar is somewhat of an advantage at sometimes. So when we went to the 4-piece, it was pretty solid, but it's really hard to make sure everyone's coherent together, which was something that was really good with the 3-piece, because it's just 3 people. It's like a little circle. 4, it's like 2 people could kind of branch off and trail off with one person. It's more people to keep up with. So 5 people, it sounds larger and better on some points, but sometimes staying focused and together is a little hard. But currently this lineup, we've been really good at like all kind of zoning into one hypersynient, kind of musical mindset where we're basically just one person, and it's really cool because we lose all sense of self and transcend to just one musical being, and it's really cool.
I like that. But you have to provide the rhythm and the lead. Do you find that difficult, Hunter?
Oh, it's a very stressing thing sometimes, but sometimes I like to just kind of drop out and let the bass really carry the grooves and, the song, and just add little dashes on it, just depending on, what's right for the song.
It is nice.
My man Logan, tell me how the bass helps to fill out the sound on that one.
It's just like second nature to me at this point, and I've only been playing for like 4 or 5 years. Yeah, a month really, but I've had one for 4 or 5 years. But speaking of like,
wait a minute, back up, a month? No. So, okay, just all those 3rd grade jokes they keep popping up.
Yeah,
they're funny.
We exaggerate.
We're the most sarcastic people ever.
Extremely.
I can dig it.
Never. I've never been sarcastic in my life.
No.
See, that sounded sarcastic to me.
It is. I think on some songs, the unsung hero is Joel, because he plays a guitar too on select songs that we cover.
See, I wondered about that, because I've seen Joel strap a guitar on, and would that be rhythm or lead, or do you switch off, Joel?
Certainly, at the moment, it's just rhythm right now. I love to play acoustic guitar, and the acoustic and the electric, it makes it sound kind of full, and I'm always improving as a guitarist, and same with the other guys are always improving as musicians. So in the future, I'll probably be trading off leads, depending on what the song requires. So all the time that we're working on new originals, I want to be able to play the rhythm and Hunter, melt your face with the lead guitar. So.
Yes, you will.
Addicted to the riffs.
I just noticed we have the setup of one of my favorite bands ever.
Oh, who would that be?
Fuel. Because Brett Scallions.
Okay.
He plays guitar sometime.
All right, I met Fuel in 2008 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. We were doing a concert there while the race was going on, and Fuel does a cover of Daniel.
Yes.
And they sang it to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was at Exito 105.5, and they say, "Hey, there's Keys Daniel from Exito 105.5, and we're going to play this one for you." And I went,
Intimate experience.
Now was Brett's because I know they went through a huge lineup change.
I don't know who the lineup was. I met them briefly. I didn't even get to talk to them on the radio too much. I did get a shout out. I think they said, "Hey, this is we're Fuel, and you're listening to Exito 105.5." And that was a station that's now defunct, but I still keep the website on my website just to kind of nostalgia.
Pay homage.
Homage. A little homage, which makes me hungry for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I want a little
makes me think of
cracker and homage.
Homage.
So, Mr. Grant, going back to you, when did you start playing the drums?
Well, I actually started playing when I was 9 years old, somewhere around there.
So before that, you hadn't beaten on a desk at all?
I actually started on Rock Band. You know the video game Rock Band?
Oh, I know the video game Rock Band.
I got it for Christmas one year, and I just started playing on the drums and got really good at it.
Yeah.
I could play the expert mode, like.
He's bragging.
Really cool. Yes, right now I am. But I started on that, and then my dad got me a kit just shortly after getting Rock Band, after me getting real proficient at it, and then I just took off from there. I started with like Guns N' Roses, Nirvana. Those were my inspirations at first. Moved on to like Led Zeppelin, Cream, John Bonham, Mitch Mitchell, all the greats. Yeah.
I noticed you didn't mention Ringo Starr.
No
you
love for
you mean
Ringo.
the biggest member of the Beatles?
I love Ringo.
Beatles.
Yeah, I feel for Pete Best. I do. So, you were mentioning video games, and I'm noticing this nice big TV, and there's video games ready to be played. Launch Apex Legends is on right now. So, you play video games, do you? Who's the video game player, Joel?
I play video games. I whenever I find the time to do it, I got buddies that I knew from high school, and we might hop on Apex or Minecraft or whatever we're feeling like playing at the time. So it's just something fun to do, and keeps the mind busy. And if I'm not writing tunes, I'll be practicing martial arts or playing video games. So.
Nice.
Sure enough, I hear people say all the time, "Oh, video games are a waste of time," and it seems to be now. It's a money making situation. You can make money at anything you're passionate about, and I see gamers that are on Twitch, especially the young girls. They get out there in the little halter tops and they play video games and beg for money on Patreon. Some of them seem like they're making some good money out there. So maybe they're hawking their sensuality a little bit more than playing the games, because some of them are terrible gamers.
Yeah.
But I guess they're nice to look at.
I bought all those halter tops for nothing, man.
Oh, look at you.
That was my first career choice, honestly.
Was trying to get an halter top and make money for Patreon.
I had an array, a whole closet of it, and I was so passionate about it, like who's gonna get this premium Minecraft content,
So you were playing on
Twitch
Twitch
while doing it? Oh, for sure.
What was this?
About 1963.
No. And with the jokes again.
Yeah.
No, for real. Let's get a timeline on this one. Well,
realistically, I never streamed anything, but I was into playing Black Ops with some friends for a while when I was in middle school and early high school.
And we were in the marching band. Me and Hunter and Grant were.
Logan's in the marching band with Hunter.
Me and Hunter were both trombone players.
So let's get a further timeline on it. Who's still in high school and who's out?
Oh, we're all out.
I just got my first year of college down.
Dig it. All right. Where are you going to college there, Hunter?
Currently, I'm going to UACC in Morrilton.
UACC, that's an extension. Oh, no, it's the community college up there. Excellent way to start. People that go straight to university, it seems like it's so much harder. I started in community college as well in Broward County in Fort Lauderdale, and it was so much easier to get your first 2 years banged out there and then figure out where you wanted to go, and less expensive for that matter.
That's a very true statement, because I'm actually going to UCA, and I would agree, it's actually much more work than going to a community college.
All right, Grant.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
What are you studying at UCA?
Music at the moment.
That's
bound to change though. So.
Oh, okay. So you're thinking of branching out into other things, Grant?
Of course.
Okay. Any ideas what you're thinking about?
I'm not sure. Law. I've thought of law, teaching perhaps, but something in those fields.
Any particular reason for law, Grant? Any family?
It just interests me.
The law.
Piques my curiosity.
Judge Dredd?
I am the law. Ooh.
Yeah.
Anthrax.
Well done. Okay, all right. And what are you studying?
Psychology and the arts.
Psychology was my first.
Love it.
My first love, and I studied just enough to mess me up the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I look at people. Hey, why are you crossing your hand? Why are you folding? Why is this? Why did Grant move away from Hunter?
Their motives. Their motives. It's like the key to all. It's the key to the mind.
But it also helped me break out as well. Then I got into radio right away after that. I dropped the psychology, but even on the radio, you're talking to people. Exactly.
Because you understand people.
Yeah, even if you're talking to them on the phone or you're talking to them face to face. And what's nice about this podcast is I get to talk to people face to face. People are now in their phones, always on their phones. Even when they're together, they're looking at their phones.
Podcasts are like the new thing. It's the new talk shows. It's the new medium for information.
Yeah, it's a radio show that gets recorded and you get to consume it in your own time.
You can just pop them in. It's good for people at work because I used to put the Joe Rogan podcast in. I've listened to a couple of yours.
I listen to Joe Rogan all the time. And maybe this could be a marathon podcast like Joe Rogan. His go 2.5, 3, 4, 5 hours was the 6 hours was Kevin Smith. I think that was his record.
Kevin Smith.
Silent
Bob went 6 hours.
He went 6 hours.
Silent Bob is unstoppable.
There's another podcaster, Kevin Smith. He's got 5, 6 podcasts. I'm going to start another podcast today called The Keys Dan Show. And it's just because the what makes you famous, I'm using that to get to know people and to promote people. But when I don't have a guest, I still have the itch to podcast. And maybe I want to tell some news. Maybe I want to tell some jokes. So I'm starting the Keys Dan Show today. Hey, winner. So
you listen to this past weekend? Theo Von?
No, I have it loaded in my thing.
I like Theo Von. I just got into it here recently. He's a really good comic.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Joel, I know you're in college. He's a college boy. What are you studying in college?
Well, I was actually in college at Morrilton, where Hunter is at.
Dig it.
Yeah, my mom, she wanted me to go to college, and certainly my dad too. And I went there for a little while, and I just found that it wasn't for me. And I think for a lot of people, they feel pressured to go to college because
I can agree.
Because it's just the tradition. It's like the American thing, or around the world. But in this day and age, we were talking about the internet earlier. It's like you can make a career out of whatever you like, and you can do that through platforms like YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. And I feel like whatever you're passionate about. As long as you meet people that know what they're doing, then you can learn a trade, you can learn a skill and pass it on to other people and, make an abundant life for yourself. So I think if you want to go to college, then, you need to find something that requires college, like whether it be like engineering or being a doctor, like Brant was saying, being like a lawyer. So it's not for everybody. It's not for me, but I know that I'll have a good life and without it. So
yeah, I went to college a bunch of times. I studied psychology, studied radio, studied fire science, studied EMT, paramedic. I've been the gambit, but it's only just enough to do certain things. Studied just enough radio, broadcasting to get into radio, which is the Connecticut Schools of Broadcasting. I studied just enough EMT to get to be an EMT paramedic. I think it was a year, and I think it's now 2 years to do that, and just enough fire science to get to be a firefighter. I did that for 10 years. So yeah, I'm not big on college, and I know with the internet, you can know everything in the blink of an eye at your fingertips. The whole world's knowledge is there. So yeah, I'm not sure. Hey, if you're in college and if you love math, you're going to save the world, because math is it, man. But if you don't love math, find another avenue. Find another avenue.
Manifest destiny.
Correct. Now, I notice, Hunter, you might be the inventor of the thesaurus. You're a man of words.
Love words.
Yeah, and I can dig that. You came up with one,
hypersynient being.
Yeah. No.
Please, hypersynient. For the people and me, the dummies in the house, what is hypersynient?
Well, I'd like to say it would be a feeling of being one, just where we're all in connection because we're all synient on one thing, and we're just like this one life, like a hive, but like a hive mind that's symbiotic as opposed to parasitic. it's really I don't know, it's a large connection in a sense of being one with each other.
Dig it, Hunter. So, you seem to be the Zen member of the SiedSwipe Band. How do you keep so Zen, man?
I spend a good portion of my time trying to like force myself into routine, because myself being a very spontaneous person, I try to have a lot of balance in my life, whether, you know, it's me sticking to the things that are important to myself, or, you know, keeping, you know, interpersonal jazz, you know, just, you know, mellow, I guess, because like arguing is just pointless. It really is.
Right.
I don't see the point in it.
Well, I plan to be spontaneous tomorrow.
Awesome.
No, but spontaneity, I get you on that. I feel you on that. Every time I've ever moved, it's always been, oh yeah, I want to move to that place. Like from Miami, I moved to Orlando, and I said, yeah, I want to move to Orlando. And that weekend, I was packed up in Orlando, living in my brother's apartment for a couple weeks till I got my own apartment. So spontaneity, yeah, I can dig it.
But
I like
you
that.
want to do it for something greater.
Yeah, well, especially if you don't have a lot of responsibilities, if you're not married yet, you don't have kids, and you're a young man of the world. In your 20s, I encourage you, do it. Get out there, see it, do all you can do, be all you can be. This is the time for you to make your plans. And I know making plans, sometimes they don't go right, but this is the time to fall on your face as many times as you can, as long as you can get back up and keep on going. Do it in your 20s, because then in your 30s, hey, think about getting married, think about kids, think about, you should be settling in on your life by that time. But yeah,
I agree. Keys Dan, I
go,
agree so
Joel.
much. But you know, I mean, in the past generations, people were getting married like 21, having kids like in their early 20s, and this generation even more. It's more prevalent today. So I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with it, but for me personally, I definitely want to wait to settle down, and like you said, like in my 30s. But life has a weird way of you know, throwing you for a loop. So you know, I might meet somebody that might improve my life as much as I improve theirs, and might settle down. Who knows? But for right now, I'm only worried about the success of, you know, myself, and then also the success of the band too, and my career path. So
yeah, I talked to a lady a couple days ago. She married her high school sweetheart in her 30s.
yeah,
It's like she reconnected with him, and she was, you know, boyfriend and girlfriend with him at that time. But you mentioned that, okay, you want to do for yourself, and yes, this is a 4-piece band, but you are all individuals. You all have your own ideas and your own dreams and your own situations. And perhaps in the future, I will do podcast, if you'll let me, of you individually, because I know, Hunter, you had some ideas that you wanted to do, and I wonder if Logan and Grant and Joel, you know, I know as individuals you have your own aspirations in life, but then you have to come together as a band to form this alliance and head in the same direction with 4 people. And I haven't heard from Grant in a little while. What do you think about that?
I absolutely agree with you.
Now, what do you have in your own life that you're passionate about? Because I've heard about the martial arts from Joel, and I've heard, well, nothing from Logan and Hunter yet, but I'll ask them the same questions. What are you into besides beating the skins, Grant?
I just like beating the skins. That's about all. That consumes a good portion of my life. I dedicate a lot of my time to that music.
It's a one track.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I like to stay on one thing.
Now, I watched a lot of 80s movies, a lot of John Hughes movies, and I'm not sure if Some Kind of Wonderful was a John Hughes movie, but he always carried drumsticks in his back pocket. Is that something you did during high school?
No, actually.
What?
I actually didn't do that, but oh well.
You weren't that guy.
No,
but did you find yourself beating on the desks all the time and
Actually, yes, with that. Even when I was in elementary school, I would have pencils and beat on the desk and leave a bunch of marks all over the desk and annoy the crap out of my classmates. But it was always a good time, though.
I'm sure of it. But the best ones that I had in high school, there was one guy that was, for some reason, the English teacher was playing a song, and there was one guy in the back of the class that was beating on his desk, and he did the fill on the drum perfectly with the music, and people went, "You really do know this song," you know? So I guess that's something that you would work on in your life, being the drummer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also like to do other things too, like, you know, play video games every now and then.
Oh, okay.
When I have the time, you know, I like to play Red Dead Redemption 2, you know, the new stuff. And, you know, watch a few movies every now and then. But I stay pretty dedicated to music, though.
So there are other avenues of interest for Grant Leslie, the drummer of SiedSwipe. And this is me looking at you and turning my head slightly to the left and going to Logan Wiley with the Wiley Coyote tattoo on his left shoulder. Left shoulder! All right. What other interest do you have besides being the bass player?
Man, I just go to work and then come to practice and then go to sleep pretty much every day.
Go to work. Joe job or something you consider a career?
Well, I would hope not. But I work with my dad, and he's always going, yeah, you should, if you ever want to do anything else, you know, that's cool. I wouldn't want you, because we paint and hang sheetrock, and we fix the guy's pool, some pavers around his pool, you know, brick pavers. I mean, we just do whatever, and it's a really good trade to learn and know, because he's been the superintendent on many jobs, and, you know, he's got a good reputation as well as his dad had, and it's really good to know, but I wouldn't want to, you know, be painting my entire life. I would hopefully want to work at McDonald's or something like that.
Yeah, very good. No, it's painstaking and backbreaking work, but chicks dig a guy that can work with his hands, man.
Oh yeah, man.
That's marrying material right there. You could fix a house.
Oh yeah, I can't tell you how many bags of concrete I've lifted and bulked up on it, you know.
Yeah, well, I notice you're a very strapping young man. He's so strong, ladies. No, I'm kidding.
Flex Armstrong.
Oh, Flex Armstrong.
Very cool. And then he goes from looking at Logan Wiley and turns his head to the right and finds a Hunter Stegall.
Ooh.
What other avenues of interest do you have besides guitar?
I like a lot of drawing. I draw most of the flyers for the band because, you know, I don't have a lot of time to draw now since I've been so invested in playing. So I try to integrate that in a lot of, like, the songs we put out. I draw the artwork for it and I edit it on my phone and just come up with all these collages, and I think it's really cool.
So you're drawing things by hand, or you're drawing them on a computer?
I usually draw them on hand and then I edit them through my phone.
So you take a picture of it or scan it in?
I'll draw it like with pencil at the beginning, and then I'll fill over it with like a Sharpie.
Sure.
And then I'll take it on my phone and I'll like sharpen it a bit. So like the lines are bolder and the white is a little more vibrant. So there's, you know, no dead pixels of, you know, depending on poor lighting and stuff, you got to make sure the lighting's correct. And then after that, I just try to like digitalize it.
Man, you guys lucked out. You got a guy that's doing the graphic arts in the band.
And Logan's an artist himself, actually, though.
Me and Logan used to have these little drawing competitions where we would just try to draw the most disgusting things.
Yeah, we would make it a very simple picture at the beginning, and then Grant would pass it throughout the day. We would just pass it back
Just the messenger.
And get on. And he would be like, you should do this. And I'm like, no, that's too sick. And he would be like,
who's the judge?
Do this. And I'm like, that's even sicker. But we made some interesting artworort.
Okay, example that you could say on a podcast that kids might be listening to.
No, I mean, like you just have to see it. I mean, we would draw ourselves and then make us have like tentacles coming out of our ears and but it was very high def for some reason.
We would take something very wholesome and just normal. And, you know, we would take the normality and we would just totally obscure it, make it totally obscured, you know, where you couldn't tell what it was. People with trichlophobia, you know, the fear of holes, we would put so much detail there that the ink blots and the, you know, shards of lead that, you know, we were rubbing on the paper would just be this array of dots. And it's just, some people don't like seeing that kind of stuff. It's very grotesque. People would call it grotesque.
We actually made one kid sick in 6th grade because we spent 3 hours putting every space we could. We filled this guy's face that we drew with veins.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I have a fear of veins. I think that's what I think we draw.
Because of what we
the
drew.
things that we draw kind of personify things that we would find to be disgusting.
Yeah.
Like very high definition parts of the body. I've always thought of veins as like roots to trees, veins to people. I've always seen that correlation because, if we're trees, then our veins would be the roots.
Right.
And the idea of like our life force coming out of these vascular highways is just so, I don't know, feeling my blood in my body just freaks me out if I just focus on it for a long enough time.
Oh yeah, I did phlebotomy in the emergency room when I was worked in the emergency room, and veins. And some of these people are very vascular, and veins are very. As a phlebotomist, you're looking for
Me
a
and
nice
Logan are just
vascularity.
like vein machines.
Yeah, very vascular. So Hunter Stegall and Logan Wiley, you're passing off these. You were going to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say. I was a corny joke.
Go, give me some corny jokes, man.
Yeah, if you took all the veins out of your body and laid them end to end, you'd be dead.
Oh,
Very good. That's a nice little hint. And these are things to know from Logan Wiley.
Cuts
I
me
appreciate
deep.
that. And then both of you are handing stuff off to Grant Leslie. Grant Leslie, what are you doing with these pictures? Are you looking at them going, yeah?
He seemed oddly satisfied by it.
Yes, I find it very amusing. Actually, I think the artwork is hilarious, and it's
part of the creative process, I would say.
Yeah, and I sometimes tell them like, oh, this would be cool, or this would be cool, or whatever. But I mean, they're the artists behind that, though. I give full credit to them, but I love their artwork, though.
You didn't put your little touches on there?
I'm not much of an artist myself, though, unfortunately.
Did you not have a pencil, or were you using them for drumsticks the whole day?
I'm using it for drumsticks, I guess.
They were never sharpened. Just
Always drumsticks.
Always had an appreciation for the detail, a lot of criticism.
So, Grant Leslie, what kind of pencil makes the best drumstick? Yeah. Does it have to be a number 2 pencil?
Mechanical
pencil?
Mechanical.
Very good. So I think you would break all the lead inside.
I like the timber of it.
Yeah, but it wouldn't matter to you because
that's the fun
you're
part.
not even writing with them.
That's the fun part about it.
Joel Fountain, he's sitting over here just admiring everything. Are you the oldest in the band, Joel?
Certainly I am. I just turned 20 April 28th of this year. And
Happy birthday.
Yeah, and even though I'm the oldest of the band, I don't consider myself as like the leader or anything like that. I think we all contribute our own equal part, and we're all integral parts of the band. So, I've had people tell me specifically that seem like I'm wiser than when I am, but I can say the same to the other guys. They're very mature in an aspect of like putting time in for the music. Everything else, not so much.
Yeah.
The humor is definitely. It's out there, it's wild, but, we're still young guys, and I'm not going to say that I'm the most disciplined guy, or the most, uptight guy, but, we're always growing every day musically and, as people, and I'm loving the journey, so.
Well, Joel Fountain, every time I talk to you, you're very well-spoken, and I don't know if you're putting on a persona for the podcast, but definitely every time I talk to you, and I know martial arts teaches you a lot of discipline and a lot of yes sir and a lot of no sir, and it does that reflect? Do you think that's what keeps you so respectful?
Of course, it's a lifestyle certainly, but I probably give more credit to my parents. My mother and my father, always knew that respect was first and foremost, and I'm sure it's the same to the other guys in the band. And but I really I'd say I'm so I guess mature for my age because my dad is actually 65.
Okay.
And he's already had a family before.
Mm-hmm.
So he's always telling me like, well, I'm old enough to be your grandpa and that kind of stuff. But he still looks young, still looks like he's 40. But I'm so thankful because he's passed so much, knowledge to me. And, I don't always listen to it. I'm not the perfect listener, but I have a good kind of idea of what life's about just from my dad and my mom, so that's what I attribute that to.
Well, I don't know your pappy so well, but I do know your mother. She's her voice has been on this podcast several times over the last few, and I know I had a full-length podcast with her. If you're not going to shout it out, I will. And she made sure that I didn't fancy up your name too much, because I was wanting to say Fontaine, like Vince Fontaine from the movie Grease, but she said no, it's Fountain. But I did fancy up her first name, Claudia, because it is a Spanish name. And I know you have Spanish roots like myself. I'm half Cuban, half Irish, and you have Spanish roots as well, Joel Fountain.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, I got Spanish roots. I got family in Texas, right next to the border, and other half is actually English. My dad is from Cambridge, England, and yeah, he was born in 1953, and he's just went to college there and got an engineering degree. So he got to travel the world and somehow ended up in Texas and met my mom, and here we are now.
So having family in Texas, what do you think about the wall? Oh, political.
Oh, getting into that. Well, Donald Trump, he is a very headstrong person, and I feel like if he wants to do something, he's gonna do it. I think he's more of a businessman than a politician, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not too particular in politics. I kind of keep my head out of the way. My dad is a lot more into it. He's always got CNN on YouTube and that kind of stuff. But the wall, I think people are going to find a way into the country no matter what we do. I think it's certainly going to lower the chances of people getting into the country, but this is America. I mean, we were founded on immigrants, and people are constantly going to be immigrating, whether it be by boat or, however they get over here. So it's going to, I guess, put up a wall, but people will find a way around it. So
yeah, I don't know about building a wall, but certainly if you're going to immigrate, do it the right way. And people, President Trump, you're building a wall, people can tunnel under, and there are airplanes, people can go over it. Illegal immigrants seem to come in by airplane more than crossing borders in that respect. So that's the political portion of the SiedSwipe Band interview on what makes you famous. No, unless anybody else has some views on what's happening in the world today. Logan Wiley, turning my head to the left.
Oh man, it's one of my cardinal rules that I try to keep politics and music separate from each other, because I think that, I guess I work for bands like Rage Against the Machine and stuff like that, but I don't know, it just seems kind of cancerous to it, especially nowadays, because if you don't agree with one side, then you're dead to the other. So
oh, absolutely, and yeah, it's generally at Thanksgivings you don't want to talk about politics and religion, but me on a podcast, I want to talk about politics and religion.
No, yeah, I don't blame you.
It's what makes people tick.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
It polarizes people. It
starts conversation.
It's passionate. That's right. Hunter Stegall, what are your views on politics or religion, for that matter?
I studied surveying world religions on my second semester of college, and I thought it was really interesting because there's so many people that are so divided because of their religion solely. And what's funny is if you look at majority of the world's religions, they kind of practically are the same archetype. It's like this one prophet figure sits here and he leaves to the woods for 30 years, albeit death or going in some sort of crypt, but like they come back, they've left the ordinary world and they come back with a new perspective, and then suddenly they're now just praised. And there's like that's the archetype I see. It's more like the hero's journey that you see in a lot of literary books. Sure. But I like to see them not as like an actual thing. Like I don't try to interpret them like 100% like this is exactly what happened. I just say this is a way you can live your life, and these are morals that were passed down through stories. You don't know if the stories are 100% true, but they're stories that you can guide your life with, and everyone has them. And if you don't have it, it's fine. Just live altruistically.
Just be a nice guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Be excellent to each other.
Don't be a jerk.
Lao Tzu.
Lao Tzu is awesome, man.
Yeah.
Lao Tzu. What's Lao Tzu?
Lao Tzu is a Chinese philosopher.
Okay.
He's really cool. He was really competitive. He was very into just living comfortably, living true to yourself, not wishing harm on others, and just living a very symbiotic life.
Yeah, I find people talking to anybody, Democrat, Republican, Catholic, Jewish, pretty much people are the same, have more similarities than differences.
Yeah.
If you talk to people, they all want their kids to do well. They all want to live in a place with a roof over their heads, want to eat every day. Oh, okay. We're just on different paths.
Yeah, the way you see the world, everyone's the good guy in their story,
Sure.
Yeah, no one's like, I'm the bad guy, I do this. Everything, even evil people think they're doing good, they think what they're doing is the right thing.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't do it if they wanted to make the world a bad place. They want to make the world the way they would like it to be,
Everyone's the hero in their own story. Grant Leslie, who's the hero in your story?
Oh, shit. That's a big question.
What's your story?
I'm not sure if I have a hero in my story.
You are the hero in your story. What's your path? What's your journey, politically or religiously? We'll go both ways on that one.
Oh, politically, I think everyone should just be treated equally and obvious. Just the accepted norm, really. Just what everyone else wants. Treat everyone with respect and have. I don't know. I'm not very well with my words when it comes to political things because I'm not very actually involved with a lot of political things.
I get it.
I just see myself I guess I wouldn't necessarily call myself Republican or Democrat, but maybe something in the fine middle.
What you reminded me of just then was the Tim Blake Nelson character in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Okay. When, Totoro said, hey, we're going this way. And then Clooney said, hey, we're going this way. And then Tim Blake Nelson said, I'm with you fellas.
Yeah.
He was the deciding vote. But yeah, I find most people are in the middle. Yeah. No, they're the people that are on the far right are the alt-right, and the people on the far left are I guess there's an alt-left.
I just feel like, I think if you're on one side, you're just more likely to just kind of just forget about the other side's points of views and all their, all their reasonings and everything like that. And I feel like that's a stupid thing to do. I think you should accept all points of views and look at everything from all angles and just get all the perspectives on it.
Yeah, life's not black and white, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Come over here in the gray where everybody else is.
The gray
We're all swimming over here.
The gray is integrated and it's more objective. And that's where psychology plays into it because, if you're an extremist on one side, you're just not going to be able to see the perspective of the other people and be able to, actually come to a good decision. You can't obscure your view like that, You have to be able to listen to people as if you were, with them, and you can understand why they think the way they do. And if they are wrong, you can explain it to them, but not put them down. Just show them what you think, and if what you happen to think tends to be correct or wrong, you should just be able to go with what's right, not what you want.
When it comes to religion, though, I wouldn't call myself a very religious person.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something out there. I don't know. But
sure.
I wouldn't call myself the religious type.
Well, there's a term, agnostic, I guess. Maybe there's something out there, and maybe I'll believe because maybe there's something out there.
Yeah. I have no clue what's out there.
Any ideas?
I don't think anybody does know what's out there completely. And I think we'll find out when we get there,
All right, Grant Leslie. Maybe Hunter and Logan will draw you what's out there.
Yeah, for sure. I have a couple ideas.
And then as soon as it comes at us, Joel Fountain will hit it with a chop.
He'll chop the paper up.
Judo chop. There we
go. Chop. Judo flip. Yeah, man. I love MF Doom.
Austin Powers reference. And I guess you made another reference. Is that a song?
MF Doom. It's
MF Doom.
He's a great producer, rapper.
Okay, I must have heard that somewhere.
You asked us about our hobbies earlier, and I just noticed there's like an underlying thing that even Joel's starting to get into it now.
Vaping, baby.
Oh. Funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
But, okay, the psychology thing, I know what Logan's going to talk to. The thing that got me drawn into psychology was the Myers-Briggs 16 personalities test, and that's based on a foundation that there are 16 personalities in the world, 4 subtypes of personality, which would be rational, idealist, guardian, and artesian. And these personalities are just filled with all these dichotomies, 2 options of letters. So it's like introverted, extroverted, albeit IE, and then the way you perceive the world, intuitive and sensing, which would be N or S, for their letters. And then the way you make your decisions, which would be feeling and thinking, F versus T. And then the way you go about your life, depending on if you prefer to have a preference, which would be judging, and if you would like to go with the flow and just kind of see where life takes you, which would be prospecting. You take on new prospects. So it'd be E, I, N, S, F, T, J, P, and then your nature, which would be assertive or turbulent, how...
There's 16 different combinations, and most people have to take them for work or whatever. But if they have,
it's a good way to build.
If they're unfortunate enough to run into us, we make them take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds like a nice 4-piece band too.
Oh, yeah, and it's what's cool about that, since we all know each other's thing, we kind of understand the way each other think. Which brings to the religion, because you got to see people's point of view. Some people do things and they have things in their head and the way what's important to them. You got to take a step back, pull yourself out of your own ego, and step in the other person's shoes, because that's a good way to communicate as a band.
Stops a lot of arguments.
Psychology has been probably one of the greatest, saviors for us as a band, communicating with interpersonal things.
Yeah. I was listening to NPR, and that's very telling. I noticed Joel's dad, you said he listens to CNN. That's very telling. But I was listening, and they were talking about Democrats and Republicans. They think differently. You put them in an MRI machine, they think differently. Gays and straights, they think differently. You put them in a machine to scan their brains.
It's because of what they've been conditioned to.
Right.
And
there's a biological factor that gets argued about as well. Were you born that way, or were you conditioned that way?
Yeah.
Were you taught that way?
Nature versus nurture.
Right.
And they both play a part. You can't say one or the other. It's, your genetics, and also, what you've been conditioned to in childhood, because the first few things that you're experienced with kind of make the basis of your whole personality makeup.
Absolutely, Hunter.
And if you can have 2 people, same background, like they're the same, like they're either like Republican, they're both Republicans, both Democrats, but an ISFP is going to act different than an ENTJ will, and that's 2 different types. They're 2 completely opposite types.
But they can both be Republican, or they can both be Democrat.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly. But it's just, I think that has a huge factor, and I didn't realize it until you think, and it's like, whoa, everyone's got a type, but it just depends on what you believe in, and how far you're willing to go for it, and what your type is.
Thanks, Logan. Well, the man chilling on the couch next to me, Mr. Joel. What do you think about these young fellers, these whippersnappers and their ideas?
Certainly. I knew about the Myers-Briggs test. I didn't really look too much into it, but these guys got me hooked on it. It seems like every time that we practice, we're always personality typing something or somebody, and it just helps us kind of understand the world around us. And I don't want to say it's like, well, it's certainly labeling, but if we understand what we like and how we think, then we can create more effectively, and you can apply that to any business or group or whatever project that you're working on.
Definitely gives you the upper hand in any conversation.
It helps you understand their perspective, so you know how to almost condition yourself and put yourself in their mind, so you know how to talk to them. And it's like, you don't step over people's toes. You know how to you just know how to communicate more effectively. And communication is very important in music and branding.
Yeah, thank you, Hunter. And Grant Leslie over there, very quiet. And I apologize irrevocably because I only have 4 mics for 5 people. But if you'll speak into Hunter's chest over there, Grant Leslie, you can you can be a part of the show. Tell the people what you think about this psychoanalysis.
Oh, I'm with Hunter and Logan on this one.
Tim Blake Nelson, everybody. Tim Blake Nelson, brother, where out there? Look for that movie.
Where's my brother?
We all got into it about the same time, I would say. So, but I'm just as interested as they are. We all talk about it nonstop. We'll type random.
We
things.
can type that couch right
Like,
I can type you.
It's like that clock. What's that clock's MBTI? Or what's that TV's MBTI? Or or we'll name like a random person. It's just.
It's mentally.
It's an interesting thing we do, and we've integrated it into our conversation.
It's mentally stimulating, and it keeps you sharp. I would say, because if you can see someone, you can try to come up with the hypothesis of who they might be. You can kind of just try to understand them a little bit more.
Yeah. All right. Well, switching gears, I work in a lot of clubs, and there's a lot of smoke in a lot of clubs. And I noticed you fellers are, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, you're vaping. Tell me a little bit about the vaping and how this came to be. And were you smokers before this?
Well, I was a smoker at a young age because I was very angsty, but I don't really smoke anymore. I usually stick to this Juul thing I have here because it's like it kind of weans you off the nicotine.
Sure.
And I don't know, it's really. I'm glad to say I don't do that because it was getting really bad for my skin and stuff. And
so no nicotine in.
There's nicotine in this, but it's smaller.
And you can make a commercial on it. Go ahead and give a shout out to that. Hey, I'm for it. Better than smoking. Well, what is it that you're doing?
It's called the Juul. It's an e-cigarette.
Juul e-cigarette. All right. And Logan.
I actually don't really like doing it. I like doing tricks with the vapor. I don't because
Logan's not much of an inhaler.
I'm not really. It kind of freaks me out because if you think about it, you said it's better than smoking, but
you haven't done the long term.
We're pretty much the lab rat generation for this because we know smoking causes cancer.
Sure,
it's been around for almost or more than 100 years, but
sure.
The modern cigarette's been around for a while, and we know that it's going to cause cancer and it's bad for you, but we don't really know much about vaping. So 50, 70 years from now, we'll see the long-term effects, and it'll it's kind of freaky when you think about it, but
you don't know the longevity of what you're doing.
True. Yeah. I don't particularly care for it. I mean, I do like doing cool tricks with it though.
Okay, what kind of tricks can you do?
None right now.
Oh, very good. I know that there's vaping contests where they try to blow for distance.
Yeah, and those are huge box mines. My sister does. She has one of those.
Well, you were talking about smoking for 100 years, and it's funny. I was listening to Mark Maron on the way over here, and he was talking to David Letterman. This is probably a podcast just came out a few days ago, and David Letterman was talking about his dad who had heart attacks over the years, and in the hospital they told him, "Oh yeah, you can smoke," because the doctor's thinking at the time was, hey, if we stop him from smoking, it could cause a problem in his insides to where he'll have another heart attack.
Yeah.
If we stop him from smoking.
Well, in the 50s, cigarettes, they heard that it was starting to cause cancer. So they wanted to protect their smokers, right? So they put asbestos filters in their cigarettes.
Yeah, well, that's good. It protect you. No, don't do it. Kids, don't smoke, man.
It's for...
Don't start.
My dad
just
quit
a juvenile delinquent.
Smoked
That's
35
cool, man.
years.
Yeah, Mom smoked. My mom smoked. She was a teenager, and she stopped when my grandfather got throat cancer. Yeah. So it's eye-opening. Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, I better quit cold turkey. Joel, you got a pen here. What's this?
This is an Enjoy. I got it from Come and Go. It's actually 99 cents. And the thing about e-cigarettes is they were designed for adults to get off of cigarettes, but our generation has really abused it, and I've looked at some of the articles about it, and younger age is like 5th grade that like some schools have found these devices on students, and it's really eye-opening because these are so readily available, and Juul has already made like steps to regulate it and to get it away from the younger generation, because like I said, it was designed for people that have been on cigarettes and they're wanting to stop and get off of it. But I think it's not so much for the generation. It's not so much like, oh, I like the nicotine. It's more of like everybody else is doing it. So it's kind of like a fad at the moment. It's came in recently of the years, and I'd say 15% of people I go to high school with, they've either tried a Juul or have a Juul or know somebody that's done it. So it's exploded over the years, and like Logan was saying, we have no idea the long-term effects of it. But it's going back to psychology, oral fixation. Something of just having something in your mouth, like hitting something.
You can do it with like a lollipop. You can do it with a toothpick.
Yeah, it's just a comforting thing, and it just kind of lets you chill out, I guess.
When I worked as a host over the summer last year, I would just compulsively chew on toothpicks throughout, just to kind of get through the day for the long shifts. And I would just go through them. It's the oral fixation thing, which is what Joel was saying. It's very true.
Well, I'm looking at Grant Leslie. He's the only one not sucking on anything. Not orally fixated. Did I say that right? I'm sorry, kids. Grant Leslie, what do you think about all this e-cigarettes and smoking?
Well, I mean, like everyone else has said, and Logan especially, I mean, we're the lab rat generation for this, and we really don't know the full effects of what vaping can actually do to us. We'll find that out in the future, surely, but I mean, the future's not here, But, like cigarettes, we know exactly what that can do to you. It can give you cancer and cause all sorts of problems. But since vaping is so relatively new, I mean, we have no clue, like, what the long-term effects of it is.
So, never had it, never will?
No.
Wow.
Never will.
Yeah, I think I touched a cigarette to my lips one time, and I didn't even like the smell of it. And there was other kinds of cigarettes that I've been around, and I like the smell of it, but I don't like the taste of it. Okay, yes, I'm talking about, of course, marijuana. So what do you fellas think about marijuana and its legalization over and I saw Grant perk up a little bit. What do you think about marijuana?
It's marijuana.
For it, against it,
Blake Nelson.
Don't care?
Just a neutral stance on it.
Okay.
I think some people need it. I think some people abuse it just to, be lazy and not do anything with their life. But I mean, I think some people with conditions and, things like muscle weakness or, joint problems or anything like that, I think marijuana, and even cancer patients as well, I think marijuana could be very beneficial to people like that. But I mean, just for people who don't do anything with their life, and I think that don't really need it, I don't feel like they should have it, but that's just my thought on it.
Well, the general idea of rock and roll and drugs go together like bullets and guns, right? So I mean, it's just it's something that you're going to find going.
You're not going to escape it. That's for sure. It's everywhere.
And Logan Wiley jumping up in his chair, turn to the left.
Yeah, man. I was going to say, we were talking about Joe Rogan earlier.
Yeah.
And I was listening. I forgot what podcast it was a while back, but he said only reason that people, well, maybe not the only reason, but a good solid reason people hate it is because of the stigma that potheads are lazy and they don't do anything. But Joe Rogan himself, that guy, he's a
workaholic.
Oh my god, and he smokes a lot of it, and
he gets boxes full.
That's a good example of someone that has the motivation, willpower to do something, but also can intake marijuana and not be just a couch potato all the time.
You got to defeat the stereotype. If you're going to do it, at least be an outstanding citizen or something,
I mean, we're in Arkansas. I don't want you to incriminate yourselves or anything.
No, we're not. No. We don't
but I mean, in the world, there's
stance.
Definitely they're saying that, it has medical, healing abilities, but then they're saying, oh, no, there's nothing that proves that. But, I mean, I think it's, if you want to have a silver lining to anything, I think it's one of the I'm not condoning it, but it's one of the safest drugs that you can probably get right now.
I mean, everything's a drug. I mean, as a nation, we're addicted to meat,
including
cheese, and
alcohol.
sugar, you know?
Yeah.
Including alcohol. I think
Alcohol is the worst.
Yeah.
Alcohol destroys more people's lives than anything. I did a report on it. It was
way
really
more addicting too. I've heard.
Alcohol is way more addicting because it does more harm to your body, produces more dopamine, it inhibits your thought process.
Yeah.
See, my mom, when I guess I was 18, she's smoking in her room with her friends, and I knocked on the door, and she opened the door, and she goes, "Oh, this is my son. He just turned 18. I'm going to offer him his first hit." And I said, "No, thanks." So I guess I rebelled against it.
Yeah. Rock's about being rebellious and, not doing what everyone's doing, if you don't want to, it's about being yourself, really. So, like, if you're in a world where everyone's like that, and it gets annoying and straining because everyone's like, hey man, you just gotta stand your ground, don't be a sheep.
But even saying that, by the same token, if a vote ever came about, I'd legalize it.
I mean, the medical use has been brought here because they opened up 2 dispensaries here, I believe, one in Hot Springs and the other one in Little Rock, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, it's good for people with chronic pain and stuff like that. Like, for people with diseases like cancer and lupus, it totally just cancels out a lot of big pharma painkillers that do way more damage to your body.
Yeah, but not just the war. The war on drugs has cost so much money. And you think about the war on alcohol back in the 20s, all that, they're fighting, they're killing for alcohol. And as soon as prohibition gets repealed, alcohol, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's over.
You can't take
War's
my
over.
alcohol.
War's over. If you legalize it and you regulate it.
That's what started all the moonshine movement.
Race cars.
NASCAR, yeah,
that's
what's behind it.
That's because people were, the thing is, my stance on politics when you're talking about is less interference. People are going to do what they're going to do. If it's, bad for them, they'll find out. And if they can't handle it, that's just one person who kind of played themselves,
So small government or big government?
Small government.
That's Republican. That's just one aspect. One aspect.
Economically, I'd say a little bit more like that, but like my views are more probably leaning a little to the left, but I'd say centrist.
You mean down the middle, like the rest of us?
Centrist,
seems like
libertarian kind of government, though.
All right.
Less government interference, less restrictions, free economy.
Haven't heard from the quiet elder statesman, Master Joel.
Oh yeah, well, regarding marijuana, it's got no doubt medical benefits, and as time goes on, people are getting more comfortable with the idea of it becoming legalized, and we just have maybe less than 10 states before all 50 states are medically, legalized. I think the government is, we had the Reefer Madness.
Which is the funniest movie
that was
ever.
A great movie,
and it's public domain, so we can sample it.
It's on YouTube for free. Look it up.
I love it.
And but it's just like Hunter was saying, like the pharmaceutical industry, they make so much money off giving these people medicine that doesn't fix what illness they have. It only
numbs them.
Yeah, puts a Band-Aid on it. And marijuana is a natural thing. People that have seizures, for example, there's some kids that struggle with it in a daily life, and not even the psychoactive chemical in marijuana, THC is a psychoactive chemical, the CBD, that is non-psychoactive, and it's been proven to stop seizures. And if that one kid can live the rest of their life without having to go through seizures, then why not legalize it? And if it's going to help people, then by all means, I'm for it. So.
And in the past year, you see CBD blowing up everywhere.
It's a whole movement.
This time last year,
I see Martha Stewart
saw a little bit,
on her
CBD
30-year-old mom shows. It's like CBD cupcakes.
Oh, okay, edibles. That was what was I watching? A comedy show on Netflix. Oh my goodness. I know he's a big proponent of marijuana, and he says, how does he get on planes with it being Doug Benson? Doug Benson.
Oh, I've watched his shows on
I
YouTube.
just watched his comedy routine, and he says edibles. Just take
Ari Shaffir said the same thing.
Ari Shaffir.
And the thing is, with medical marijuana, you know, it's not harmful for people with ailments if you're not smoking it, you know. So if you're not like a proprietor for the use of marijuana, at least don't deny, you know, the accessibility of these things to people with these ailments.
Right.
Like they can just eat it, you know. And there's gel capsules with THC in it. There's edibles. There's plenty of ways to like get that feeling without, you know, inhaling carcinogens, you know, which are really bad for you. Carcinogens are the real evil here.
Something I think Grant said was, or was it Joe? I can't remember. It was one of these
Logan.
guys.
Yeah.
But there was I think it's way better than, you know, any painkillers or anything that you could use, because it is like 100% natural. Like you don't. I mean, it's usually, I don't know the process really, but I would be saying, like, if you're gonna make a strain, you would have to crossbreed it like you would crossbreed a flower, you know, just a random, or a tomato plant or something like that. I mean, I think it would be way better than pills, especially with the opioid crisis going on today.
The opioid crisis is something that doesn't get nearly as much attention with all the negative stigma towards marijuana. And in my opinion on that is, if people are addicted to things that are made in labs, you know, with chemicals and God knows what is in it, you know, if they have the option to not have that, and because they don't want that because it feels too manufactured and, you know, deadly to their body, because, you know, excessive opioid use and benzo use and painkiller use can just make you lose your hair, make you frail. Sometimes it can make your appetite go up.
Osteoporosis.
Osteoporosis, yes. There's lots of...
I try not even take ibuprofen when I don't have to.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Ibuprofen can like raise your blood pressure, liver problems, excessive Benadryl. Benadryl is something I read about that if you abuse it, it actually becomes another drug class, like it evolves like the chemicals in it do, and it becomes something called a deliriant, and the chemicals in that are much more like something of a hallucinogen, which it's a dissociative. It makes you disassociate from your body, but it's really bad for your liver and kidneys.
I had a buddy used to give Benadryl to his kids so they go to sleep. Parents, don't do that to your children.
There's nothing wrong with like one, if you got allergies, or one before you go to bed, but don't just guzzle the bottle and take a whole pack. That's insane.
They were too rambunctious, so they here's a little Benadryl, so quiet down. Come on.
It reminds me, I was in like 10th grade one time, and we had this huge project to do. It was the next class, and I was actually feeling kind of sick. So it was the end of the day. My mom brought me 2 Benadryls, and she was like, just take these, and then when you get home, we'll see what's up. And I was like, okay. Well, we get there, and this was like 50% of my grade, and the first time I ever really took Benadryls. And I fell asleep that class.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Crazy times, man.
All right. Sideswipe, you got a lot of ideas, and I love it, man.
We love talking.
Oh,
yeah, man.
We can go all day. I got plenty of room on this machine here. And all right, we'll see who's been quiet. That was Logan. Let's see, Hunter just talked, and then Logan, and Grant. Grant, you're the quiet one, man.
I haven't heard
I don't have a mic. We're talking.
I'll pass it to him.
Yeah.
No,
Put it on your shoulder. That way you can both. Like,
Well, yeah, I can hear. I can see that they're both getting on the meter here. Whenever you chit chat, especially if you turn your head over that way,
Yeah.
you're hitting the meter. So, tell me something people don't know about you, Grant Leslie. Backbeat.
Something people don't know. What's something people don't know about you?
Let's see. I think they know a lot about me because I've been talking on the radio for 30 years, man.
Is there one thing in specific?
And there's
A dirty little secret.
Yeah, dirty little secret. Let's see. I got Flintstone feet. From walking on the coral in the Florida Keys.
Oh,
That's what just came to mind. And my Flintstone feet tear holes in my sheets.
Ooh.
So there you go. I just had to replace my sheets on my bed
Yabba
because my
dabba
Flintstone
doo.
feet. Yeah, yabba dabba don't.
Ooh,
So you're from Florida?
steam.
Yeah, born in the Florida, in Miami, and from the Florida Keys, where Keys Dan comes from.
Oh, I got you.
That moniker just stuck with me.
We were wondering about that. We were like, what was that?
Is that
I always
musical
thought of a
keys?
keyboard.
Is that musical keys? I have a keyboard at home. I don't know how to play. I have 3 guitars at home. I don't know how to play. I have a harmonica at home. I don't know how to play.
Synth Jam Dan.
So you don't know how to play a musical instrument?
One day, I know power chords. I know some scales on the guitar, and a couple of blues chords, but nothing to play a song. I couldn't play an actual song.
We got a couple actual songs later today. If you're
I heard
down.
you wanted to play some music, man. I figure we'll finish this podcast out with you playing your original song or two, or maybe just little snippets of it, so that way people can find you on the line. So we're hanging out here on Mockingbird Lane in Conway, Arkansas, at Joel Fountain's house, lead singer of SiedSwipe. SiedSwipe, such a weird name. Now they gave me a little idea of how SiedSwipe came about, and that was Logan's idea.
Oh, I said it.
We were at my place.
Oh.
At my house, and
It was like the
we
first
had
week
this-
he moved in, too.
we have a balcony, and it on the back, and it's really high up in the air, and you can like jump off of it, and there's like a pool underneath it and everything.
Yeah, I hope there's a pool underneath it.
Yeah.
I didn't jump into the pool.
He didn't jump onto the pool though.
Kids, don't jump off of high balconies
He
into a
jumped onto
pool or
my
otherwise.
back.
His parents will kill me if they hear this.
Yeah.
We were wrestling.
You already decided to be dead at this point.
Yeah.
We were wrestling around, and I guess Logan jumped off the back balcony thing and landed. Did he land on you, or
He landed on my back.
I guess he landed on Hunter's back, and then he looked up at me and said, "My name is SiedSwipe."
And this was all improv. We would do these.
It was a random moment.
I think we were videoing it, too.
Yeah, we would make.
We did have a video.
We would make.
I
these,
sure hope that video's out there somewhere.
It's not.
It's somewhere in the cloud, maybe. Because nothing. Even if you get rid of it, it's somewhere in someone's Axiom database.
It's gonna take a minute to find.
Oh yeah, we couldn't find it, but Big Brother up there can. But they're always watching.
Yeah, they are. And, whether it be through our smartphones or like in the store,
We've been conditioned to be watched and surveillanced.
Well, and it's the thing, like, do you want to trade your freedom for, like defense, or do you want to sacrifice your security for your freedom? And I think in America, like Hunter was saying, we've been conditioned to, people are always watching this. So
More than we know.
Yeah, more than we know, and most people aren't aware of it. And I think the more that people can understand it, the more that we can kind of like steer away from it. I personally think that I don't think people should be listening to everything that we say, because everybody should have their own time to be with their own thoughts and be with their own individual. And I personally love to go out in nature, because there's no microphones out in nature. There's just trees
That we know of.
that we know of. Exactly.
Birds were made by the government to watch us.
All right, back in the 50s, it used to be, I don't want the government listening in on me. And now it's, Alexis, show me pictures of cats dancing.
Yeah.
It's always listening. They're always listening. Your smart TV, it's listening. I hear you. You hear me. I get it.
All the dirty work.
20 years ago, they said, don't take rides from strangers and don't put your personal information.
But now
on
it's
the
Uber.
internet.
Uber.
And he's an Uber.
Hey, don't invite strangers to your house.
Yeah.
I'm a
Airbnb.
proud supporter of lube. No.
Lube.
Oh, Matt, I got a little tongue twisted.
No. Hey, tell me about this lube, Mr. Freudian slip.
Okay, yeah, that was a bit of a Freudian slip. I got that from your last podcast.
You got the lube from my last podcast?
No,
was
that's
I
disturbing.
advertising for
Signature
lube?
keys, Dan.
No, the Freudian slip.
Dan Lube.
I believe, I believe that was in the Bad Habit one, if I'm not mistaken, one with Jack and Sam.
Yeah.
That was a funny one. But, if you want me to be legitimate here,
Please.
the lubricant, I used to get this spray adhesive to put on my strings to make them a little more oiled up.
Fingers.
Oh, is that good for
It was
your
good.
guitar?
It was good when I was starting. I went through strings a lot quicker. But
Yeah.
I was a lot more heavy-handed when I started.
Well, I notice you have long, skinny fingers, and that seems to be a through line for a great guitarist to have long, skinny fingers.
I love it. It's awesome.
And are you able? I guess you're able to get more frets. I see. I don't know what.
From my index finger to my pinky finger, I can span about 8 frets.
8 frets.
Jeez.
And that's good for certain. Is there certain music that you can play that somebody else with smaller hands cannot play?
A lot of Megadeth.
Megadeth. And
Pantera.
You have to span a lot of frets?
Pantera, yeah. Pantera's a good one for that. There's a song by Megadeth, Head Crusher, in the opening solo, you have to stretch your finger from the 12th fret all the way to like the 18th fret. And I think it incorporates tapping on the 22nd fret. So that's a large span, you know.
10 frets.
Can you read music?
Not very well. I can read trombone music.
Same. I played trombone
We all three did.
6th grade till 9th grade. So
3 boners in the house?
Yeah,
sir.
it's
Excellent.
a boner party.
Well, I was talking to Ryan Hidman. He's over at Palmer Music. He was a tromboner when he started. He's a guitarist now.
We played with him at Black Earth.
You did play with him at Black Earth, which is why I mentioned him. And you were on the same podcast, the first one from February 22nd, I believe. That was actually the first official start of this podcast, What
really?
Makes You Famous, and
that.
you guys
We've
were
been
on it.
reunited.
Yeah, before that, I had been doing sporadically, and I think you could find a video of a guy outside of Planet Fitness, a comedian, and I hashtagged it, What Makes You Famous, and that's the easiest way to find this podcast is hashtag What Makes You Famous, and you can find it all over the Googles. So, I just found out I'm on Apple iTunes now.
Oh, really?
So please rate me, and
Yes. I got you covered, man.
yeah. So okay, so let's get into some instrumentation. You don't know how to read music very well, and I find that a lot. People are reading tabs, going to YouTube. Casey Sparks, some of the other people that I've had in this podcast, Leanne Henry. Go to YouTube, and I think it's the Ultimate Tabs or something like that.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way to find.
I have this application on my phone called Songster, and what it'll do, it'll show the tabs, but it'll play along to it.
Yes.
Like it'll play each individual instrument. You can mute them, and you can like slow them down, and then you can also hit this one button where it'll just stay on one measure and just continuously repeat it. And you can slow it down, speed it up, work your speed on it. And it's a good way to like build proficiency on your instrument.
If I have the means, and the time, and I'm not in a pinch to learn a song, I'll try to learn it by ear and then check it with Songster, just to help my musical ability. I don't want to rely, because back in the old days, they didn't have Songster or tabs.
Played by ear.
Played the record.
So did you go straight to bass from trombone, or was there other?
We jammed at my house with it. You got a bass.
Really? Okay, throwing it way back. 7th grade. Hunter and Grant were in band, and we weren't even, I wasn't even really as good friends with Grant as I am now back then. I was just Hunter. And I guess through band, we all started hanging out, and in 7th grade, I was actually a drummer. And me and Hunter, I played trombone in the band, but I played the drums. I had a drum set, and Downward Spiral was the name of the band.
Yes.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Okay.
But,
everybody started somewhere.
Oh yeah, hey yeah. And 9th grade came along, and like I said, the tornado happened to Grant's house, and they moved into this rent house across the street from me. And Hunter played guitar, he played drums, obviously. So I was like, well, I need to get a bass, And I started getting into the Red Hot Chili Peppers about that time. And they're my favorite band to this day. No matter how old they get, I'll still go back to them. And
you'd think that Logan would love Flea, like the bass player, but he's expressed that Flea is his least favorite, and John Frusciante is actually his
John
the guitar player. So
out of the band, he is one of my favorite bass players. But out of the band, John Frusciante. Man.
Well, Under the Bridge was a great video.
Man,
and then you saw he was just flipping out.
That was the first video I saw of them. Yeah.
In there, I had another band. Well, I had Jason Lancaster of Cab Over Pete, and their bass player has the best bass face. when bass players like to stand out, and he's got this nice like a Wolverine Logan type beard, but then he'll tongue out, face, just crazy. Is that something that you do back there?
Man, I'm the most introverted member on stage ever. I don't know why. Just so comfortable. It just feels so out of place just to jump around and stuff. I don't know why, but even the intensity of music can be through the roof, and I really I'll shake my head and stuff, but man, our first show ever, I didn't know what to do. I was scared to throw up, devil horns.
Don't be afraid, man.
I had to pep myself up for it. I was like, you got to do it. But looking back, people did not care that I did that.
We were making noise on.
Really, what they came to see was the smoke machine.
Yeah, they loved our smoke machine. We got it for $40 at Guitar Center.
That's what you do. I have a smoke machine in my closet.
My first smoke machine, Toys R Us.
I think that's the last time we used it too.
Well, yeah, I use it maybe once a year, if that often. And I thought, this is going to be such a great investment. At weddings, people want to come out to smoke. No, they don't. That smoke just gets in your lungs. If you put a little, a tablespoon of Dr. Pepper in it, it makes it smell better.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it won't hurt your machine. So there's a little tip from me. So Grant, you just been beating the skins forever and ever, Grant Leslie. Is that your only instrument? Is that your only desire?
It's the only instrument that I can play proficiently. I dabble a little bit with the piano, but
good. Do you have a piano at the house?
I do.
Yeah, like a full 88 keys or 64 keys.
I think it's just 64.
The short one, yeah. It still got most of it.
I'm not sure actually which one it is, but it works though. That's the only thing.
And can you play "Mary Had a Little Lamb"?
Never tried to.
What song?
I probably could learn it though.
You can play a song or two on there.
I can play a "Californication" by the Red Hot Chili Peppers on it, like the bass line and the guitar line at the same time. So, and I think I know "Snow." I know
Home Sweet Snow. Informer.
By Red Hot Chili Peppers. I know a few Red Hot Chili Peppers songs.
Okay. Home Sweet Home. Snow by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Okay.
Like I said, the drums is the only thing I'm truly proficient on. So.
Can you read music?
I actually can.
What?
Yeah, sheet music.
Where did you learn how to read music?
I've had 4 drum instructors in my drumming career, and 3 out of 4 of them all taught me with sheet music. So.
That is cool in the gang, man.
I picked up on.
Yeah, different perspectives to learn with. They're different learning styles.
Very cool. So yeah, take your learning.
Do I use sheet music a lot now?
Yeah.
No, but I know how to read it though.
Cool.
Always a good skill to have in your back pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can read music, Logan?
Yeah, I can. I guess playing a trombone and being in bass clef, I guess I could read bass music if I needed to, but I would not be proficient in it at all.
The only sheet music I could probably read is bass clef music.
Yeah, because we both, trombone.
I'm so used to only reading bass clef music.
See,
the only time I ever have to read music.
I cannot read music at all. I hardly know what a bass clef is, and I think I have one in one of my logos. Yeah, for the Keys Dan. And Joel, he was also a tromboner in the beginning. In the beginning, there was trombone.
Yes, that's it. I just 6th grade, you get to pick an instrument at Conway, and just picked up trombone because that's actually probably the least played instrument out of, at least in Conway. So I just like to differentiate from the crowd, and sure enough, picked up trombone and played it till 9th grade, and I stopped because I wanted to put more time into my martial arts career, and I couldn't get away from music, and so I joined choir in 10th grade. And the reason why was because they were doing a musical at the high school, and it was Footloose. And of course, I love to sing. Decent actor, horrible dancer, so I have no idea how I got the lead role, but sure enough.
Wait, I know I've heard this before. You were Ren?
I was Ren McCormick in the High School Musical in Conway, and it was wonderful. The only reason why I had the confidence to do it was because of my martial arts training. Like I probably wouldn't be able to have the guts to go out there and actually try out for it if I wasn't for my martial arts training, my confidence in myself. But I did it, and wow, it was so much fun, and I really love the social aspect of it too, and I just got used to performing on stage, and I've just been doing it since a young age. And after that, in choir, they had Batman musical. And Sam Husky was my choir director. Wonderful guy, great mentor to me. We're friends now. And after we did Footloose the next year, they had the Batman tryouts and tried out for Batman, and I got it. So
wait a minute, you're Batman?
I am also Batman. Yes.
Can you do the voice?
Well, I tried to do the voice whenever we was actually doing the musical, but he just wanted me to speak as myself. So I guess I am Batman or Bruce Wayne, whichever way you want to take it. But
the nicest Batman in history.
I guess.
I think that was the advice to Ben Affleck when he became Batman was, don't do the voice. Don't do the voice. He did the voice.
Yeah.
He did the voice.
Batman.
Well, the new Batman is Twilight, right?
Yeah, Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson.
I'm really excited for the new Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix because I loved his portrayal of Johnny Cash in Walk the Line.
Why wouldn't you? The man sinks into his roles.
He really does. I was actually reading about this. He was into this, he had a really rough upbringing. He was in this cult where they were exploiting him as a child. And, he got out about the time he was 18 because he had the choice to get out. So he kind of liberated himself from all this abuse as a child. And then, shortly after that, his brother River Phoenix overdosed. So
he was playing with Flea that night too.
Yeah.
And
River was playing with Flea?
Flea and Johnny Depp and Gibby Haynes, I believe. They had a band or a jam group and they were playing in the Viper Room in Los Angeles. And that's when he overdosed.
Whoa.
Him and John Frusciante are really good friends.
See, connections, man.
Yeah, you and
Oh, there's connections everywhere.
Let's go back to Joel and his high school musical career.
For sure.
It was all in this together.
I didn't do the musical my senior year, but I loved it. Like I said, because of the social aspect. Batman. Everybody in Batman was people in choir, so I got really close to those people, and I just kind of sharpened my spear of performing on stage, and I love to perform, and whether it be playing in a band or being in a musical, it's as long as I can entertain people and they could leave the show smiling, then that's what I'm all about. So
Joel said sharpen spear, and we all came up with sharpening the spear. Hunter sharpened it to a fine point and then stuck it where?
Stuck it right in the heart. Right that's where it lies. All your motives.
Scream of the Hounds.
It's just funny. We're playing those original songs later at the end of the podcast, and that's actually a bit of a lyrical theme in one of our songs.
He actually says that.
Yeah, the first line.
The first line.
Sharpen your spears.
Sharpen your spears.
That's a lyric in one of our originals.
Dang it, man. See? I haven't had a
called
chance to listen.
Ground.
You just slid that in there.
I need to get in there.
Nonchalantly.
Like Hunter slid the
we get to
spear
hear
in
it
the heart.
live. Is that somebody coming in?
Oh, it's just my dog.
You got a dog?
Yeah, I got
Man, he hasn't bothered us the whole time.
I know.
Usually dogs are all over the place.
I know.
it. Yeah.
Are
I
you
think
sure
we all have pets here.
Yeah, I think he's outside, right?
Yeah, she Brandy's outside.
Oh,
She's a sweet dog.
How many dogs do you have, Joel?
I have one at the moment, and my mom's got a little poodle. His name's Wolfie. He likes to come and visit and play with Brandy. So
I've seen Wolfie online in 3D.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was a 3D picture. It was craziest
It was
thing.
really cool.
Can you do it on your phone?
Yes.
The kids are teaching this 50-year-old man how to do things. I got into panoramic shots, like when I have a whole dance floor full. In fact, last night at the wedding in Maumelle, I took a panoramic shot of this picture, and I'll probably make it into my header for Facebook pretty soon. But yeah, so there's 3D. Oh, and I did that's right. When you put a panoramic shot on Facebook, it comes out kind of 360. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah. Learning things. Right. These kids today and their technological advances.
Well, I mean, it is the kids, and it's something about our generation. Like, we're just picking up technology like that. And working in a martial arts studio, obviously families have younger kids there, and I see these kids maybe like 2 or 3 years old, and they're just typing away on iPads and navigating through it just maybe as somebody that's like even our age. So it's becoming a staple, and we're like Hunter was saying, we're becoming conditioned to getting used to technology, and it's helping our world, but at the same time, we have to be aware of it, and we have to be mindful of it, because technology in the future will have its own mind through artificial intelligence. And who's the guy that does Tesla?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, he was.
Smart guy.
Brilliant guy, funny guy too. He's been warning us about AI for the longest time, and it's a really like pressing thing that I wish more people were aware of, because once AI is got its own mind, then you can think way faster than a human being, can compute things way faster than a human being. So it's just something that I think, as evolution of human beings, we're just going to kind of transcend to becoming one with technology. And I think that's where we're headed. So.
Dale Gribble is going to start to make a lot of sense here.
Yeah.
In the next few
Shout out
years.
to King of the Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all comes full circle to where Logan was putting together that chess set and the first machine that beat a person in chess.
Yep.
Yeah. There are no master chess players anymore. It's all AI coming to get us.
It's freaky to think about too, because like you can have a machine that like maybe one day it'll cure cancer, and like technological advances may cure cancer, but I think it's also got its cons too.
Eventually, AI might just deem human existence as obsolete, and it's like that's not efficient enough.
Yeah, it's
I've
not
seen those
efficient
movies.
enough. Well, Wall-E, everyone's fat and they can't, like their bones are...
You were looking right at me when you said that. Was that a shot? Everyone's fat? Okay,
I've got a history,
you got
so
nothing,
give me a couple of years.
You got nothing on me.
That's the funny thing. It's like science fiction. As we make science fiction movies, as time goes on, it becomes reality. So it's really exciting. Back in the 1950s, I think George Orwell wrote a book, something about black holes, and we didn't know like if there was a real thing or not. And as of this year, we have the first official picture of a black hole. So as human beings, we kind of, as a creative thing, we look into ourselves like, oh, what if this was a thing in the universe? And as technology improves, we have instruments to actually go out and find those things in the universe. So it's a wonderful thing as technology improves. So,
an interesting fact about that black hole is that there's a petition out that they're saying that they want to name it Chris Cornell.
Oh yeah!
Wow!
Because black hole's fun.
Won't you come?
Another great video. Oh my goodness!
It's one of my favorite music videos.
Video ever.
Yeah, that one, and turned down for what? Oh, crazy videos. We can get into that all day. I'm of the MTV generation. I grew up in the '80s. I'm here to help.
I wish they would play music on MTV.
I remember a time back in my day. Yeah, I think we started this podcast with Yo MTV Raps talking about De La Soul. This is before Hunter and Grant made it into the building, with their fashionable late, and they were going to be late to their own funerals. Yeah.
I might come. We have to rain check it.
Yeah. We'll go later. We'll see it on Netflix, or we'll catch it on YouTube.
We'll catch the rehash.
The rerun. All right. SiedSwipe. We've talked about a lot of things. It's 4 guys in the room going counterclockwise because, he's a hunk and he's sitting right here next to me. It's Joel Fountain. He's the lead singer. And then I have Grant Leslie. He's the drummer, beating the skins. Hunter Stegall, as I turn my eyes a little more left again. He's the guitarist, the lead. And, as it turns out, he has to do a lot of rhythm as well. But yes, I did skip that Joel plays a little guitar. And we'll probably get into that for a second. Logan, the bass player. And, let me turn back to Logan and talk about his guitar playing, because we really haven't talked about that. You're playing guitar now. Well, when did you pick that up?
Well, my mom bought me a guitar like this, like practice one. I forget what the practice brands are. I think I was like maybe 11 or 12 for Christmas, and I maybe picked it up for a second and then just kind of left it and laying around. But one of my biggest influences is AC/DC. And the thing about their songs is it's all simple chords, 3-chord songs at a time. So, as you listen to music, and if you're a musician, well, you want to play the music. So I looked on YouTube, like you were saying earlier, like you can learn pretty much anything there and learn the chords from that, and picked up pretty much the foundational chords like G, C, A, and that kind of stuff, D, and I just kind of fill in there on the band with the basic stuff.
Bon Scott or Brian Jones?
Bon Scott, all the way.
Bon Scott's superb.
As a frontman, I probably draw biggest influence from him and David Lee Roth, just because.
Those splits, man!
I know. And
back in the 80s,
so flexible.
70s. He was a black belt too, and still is a black belt today. And yeah,
I know.
Don't know that, but
so Elvis was a black belt in an unprecedented 3 days.
I saw videos on that. Yeah, black belts. I think today. Some people train for it, and probably some people don't deserve the title of black belt. And it's a dedication. It takes years to earn it. And although you might put in time to earn it, that doesn't mean that you have the skills to necessarily deem yourself as a black belt. And I know that's kind of a controversial thing to say, but as a professional martial artist, I've seen what people can do as black belts, and I know like what it truly means. So I think anybody can practice martial arts, but if you want to take it seriously and you want to be like a certain rank, then there's a lot of dedication and there's a lot of time you got to put into it. Just like anything, same thing with being in a band.
So when I was first taking the Taekwondo, I had just seen the Karate Kid 3. Yes, Karate Kid 3, and I think was it Silver, something Silver. He was in it, and his yell when he threw a punch was "Asa, Asa." And boy, did my instructor not like it when I said "Asa," because he said "Key up, it's key up, Asa." What is your scream of choice?
Well, we call it a key up in Taekwondo because it's Korean martial art, but you don't necessarily have to do like a consonant with it, like hi-ya or ki-ya. It's just like a kind of a guttural thing, like yeah, that kind of stuff. Whenever you're doing a technique,
that scared me a little.
Oh, good. I mean, that's part of
you gotta let them know it's about to go down.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's the warning.
That's whenever you go to break boards, If you throw a baseball, and I work with a guy named Senior Master Giles, wonderful guy. He said if you throw something as hard as you can, there's no way that you're not going to make some sort of noise with your mouth. If you're going to throw a baseball, you're going to go yeah, or something like that, or swing a bat, or
some sort of.
Some of my favorite tennis tournaments are when there's two girls just out there just going oh my gosh. Yeah. You're like, okay, I know what they do in the rooms.
Exactly.
I think as a way to all get to know each other, we should try to do our own one of those kia noises, so we kind of get a feel for who's who.
Start with you, Hunter.
Okay. I've been working on this one for a bit.
Okay.
That's mine.
All right. I think I just I got a little tingle. Go ahead, Grant.
Oh!
Wow, that was stretched out quite a bit.
Fierce.
Quite a bit. Go ahead, Mr. Logan.
Oh yeah, baby.
Okay, and that's when he throws a punch. Or does he ever throw punches and make love, not war?
Or elbows.
Well,
elbows and knees.
I've been practicing. Our friend Ed's in the other room, and he gets beat up a lot. We have a practice dummy in there.
Okay. All right. Thanks for explaining who Ed is.
We beat Ed up.
We keep him locked in the basement.
Yeah.
No creepers allowed.
All right. So Logan, you doing martial arts too, or?
Man, I just pick up on I just do it for fun. Whenever we have some downtime here, Joel teaches me some combo moves or whatever, but Definitely. I in the shower, I turn on the cold water and practice shadow boxing because your body reacts the same to cold water as it does if you got stabbed. So
I think the underlying is I think Joel's using you as a practice dummy.
yeah, probably so. But at least I'm getting something out of it.
Grant, you doing any martial arts?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No.
That was very essential. Absolutely.
He can beat you in
tennis.
The game where you hit each other's hand.
Oh, okay.
He used to like shatter people's
God, dude.
freaking.
You do it like this.
He used to give people carpal tunnel from hell.
Oh.
And we just get harder and harder. You lock hands.
First one to tap out loses.
Yeah, you just trade bashes on the front of your hand.
I used to hit people in the hand with my face all the time. It was great.
Me too.
So, Joel, martial arts is a big part of your life, man. We got to delve deeper into that, and I don't know, maybe we will do the solo podcast and get even deeper into that. But I got to know more about the martial arts, since that's a big facet. Sideswipe is huge in your life, but martial arts is your career right now, at least.
At the moment, certainly. Actually, when I was younger, I used to watch anime, which is a Japanese cartoon, and like Naruto and Dragon Ball Z. And
I'm partial to Sailor Moon myself.
I love Sailor Moon. I watch it with my girlfriend all the time.
The trending thing in anime is martial arts, and it's like, you have these fight scenes, these battle scenes, and elementary school that I went to in Florence, Madison, is actually right down the road from my house. And I have when I was in elementary school, I was kind of like a loner, and I was kind of a different kid. And I remember one time I was at the playground, and I always wanted to be a Super Saiyan. And Goku, he is whenever he turns to a Super Saiyan, he goes absolutely mad. Like, he's yelling at the top of his lungs, and he's
bonafide beast mode.
And he's got this power mode there, and he's like, flexing his muscles. And other kids are like, man, that guy's kind of weird. But in my head, I was like, yeah, I'm Goku. I'm the baddest dude.
I just took a shot of bull shark testosterone. You don't want to meet me at the playground.
That's right.
Goku versus Superman. Who wins?
Oh,
Godzilla.
Wow.
That's a
good question. I know more about Goku than Superman, but
Batman can beat up Superman.
Versus Captain Marvel. Who wins?
Oh man, Goku.
Yeah. Goku's killing them all.
Yeah.
Goku versus Superman and Captain Marvel at the same time.
Oh.
I think Goku could still win.
Just like a battle,
Goku's like
fight to the death.
Literally gets better every episode.
Vegeta versus Captain Marvel and who was the other one?
Oh,
Superman.
Superman, yeah.
Think about Saiyans. The Saiyans aren't humans. They're actually an alien race. They're very
similar to Superman.
Yeah, it's like a warrior race, and in battle, the more that they get injured and the more experience they have in battle, the stronger they get. So technically, Goku and Vegeta could fight forever until
they die.
Yeah, until they die.
The hairstyle is permanent.
Yeah.
The rest of they keep the same hairstyle the rest of their life.
Basically, if you shave their head, it'll come back in like 5 seconds.
The exact same way.
They are literally genetically superior, and they look like humans on the outside, but they're just straight up beasts.
And that's
how that's the approach we take as musicians.
yeah, I notice you have good hair.
Yeah.
I might do a benefit show. We might try to set something up, and if we have enough people put in money for tickets, you might have the opportunity to shave my head on stage.
What?
Maybe,
That's saying a lot, Hunter Stegall.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah,
we might have to do it. We need to set up a large event.
Also, we're going to do the same with
I'll just grow it right back out.
Premium tickets.
Yeah.
Hunter's going bald.
We'll all shave.
Getting the Frashante cut.
So I had a buddy that was very vain, but he was going bald, and he spent $20,000 on hair plugs.
If I was going bald, I'd just embrace the cue ball look.
Yeah, but he was also a very bad gambler. So on a $20 bet, he shaved his head, and so I owe him $20.
Wow.
Okay, jokes. He's got terrible jokes. So I got dad jokes.
We all got dad jokes deep in our...
I got a dad bod.
Hey, ladies.
I mean, it's like we're fit, but we like to eat pizza,
So, young men of the world.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
SiedSwipe Band. You were saying, Hunter?
I don't know what I was saying.
Okay, all right. He was going for something.
I was on a tangent, but I got lost.
He made that train take a left turn.
I'm the poster child for ADHD.
ADHD. They used to call that swift kick in the pants, boy. Get back in it.
Damn it, Bobby.
Oh, man. All right. You're very multifaceted. You got 4 guys with 4 personalities all together in this SiedSwipe Band. I'm stoked to be here.
Swiped.
Yes, I'm stoked to be here on Mockingbird in Joel's lovely home. It's a good workspace, man. And it's a lived-in house, man. It's not a museum. When I was growing up, Mom said, you can have the living room. No, you can have the family room. The rest of the house had to stay spotless. We even had white carpet in the living room. Yep. Don't step on the white carpet. Mom knows if you're stepped on the white carpet because your brown shoe mark's going to be on that white carpet. Yeah, who lives in a museum? We know how Joel's living. Let's go, Logan.
I live on the lake. And
on the lake? In a van down by the river?
Yeah.
Live Green River.
Down by the river.
Come on down the Green River.
So you live on the lake, which Conway?
Lake Conway, Mayflower. It's actually how's the flooding? It's actually not affected our houses yet because it's me and my grandma right there, but it has gotten up. But we're a really good distance away from the actual lake. Oh, okay. We have a huge backyard.
Have you seen the helicopter video of the highway? Of the highway where how it's completely flooded?
Yeah. Well, it's down, the road right next to mine is called the Dam Road. It's the Dam Road.
Hey, don't you blaspheme on this podcast.
I'm so sorry.
I was down in Dardanelle on Wednesday, and the water's coming right up to to Arkansas, north and south Arkansas. The runs up and down Russellville, and down south Arkansas, south of Maine. The water was right up to the road where there was businesses underwater, cars, trucks. Yeah.
Well, bad. And we go down there every morning. Me and my dad, and my mom, before me and my dad go to work, and we go down there and check the dam. And there's a bunch of these old timers out there, and they're like, well, since the dam's been here, we've never seen it do this because it's flowing backwards into the lake. The water's so high on the undammed side that it's risen because Plum Creek comes off the Arkansas River,
right,
and it floods Bell Slough and all that, and it's flowing backwards into the lake, filling the lake up instead of letting the lake out. So it's huge.
Yeah. You do a whole
any houses underwater in that area?
Well, actually, Grant lives directly across from the dam on the other side of the lake, and I don't know how it's been in his backyard.
Grant?
It's not that bad. Yeah, at least it's been really bad before, especially a few years back when the flooding got really, really bad. I don't know how bad it is it as bad as it was a few years ago, or is it?
The highest I've ever seen it, I was 9 or 10, and it probably got 100 feet in my backyard, and that's the highest. But it every year it comes up in my backyard just a little bit. But
it's only gotten really high up in my yard one year, and that was a few years ago. But this year it's not too bad
so far, and it's supposed to crest today, I believe.
Or Monday.
It depends on how far down the river you live.
Yeah.
But
thoughts to the families that have had to evacuate.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that they find a good place to stay. And the funny thing is, the only time I've heard about the flood is other people talk about it. I've not seen it on the news. And if there has been any, there's been minimal coverage of it. And the thing about it is, we have these national, or not national, but state kind of emergency here in central Arkansas, and I'm sure other states. And I'm kind of baffled as to why that hasn't been covered in the national, or not in the national, but the local news as much. And it's kind of scary because if we don't get enough coverage, then how are we going to get federal aid to help those families that have been had to relocate? So that's what I said. I've only heard about it talking to other people face to face, not through the media. So.
The biggest thing that here recently, you asked about the flooding in my backyard.
Yeah,
the biggest thing that's happened in my backyard, I guess the last 10 years, was You remember the oil pipeline that busted in Mayflower?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it busted in Hunter's neighborhood,
Oh.
ran underneath the freeway and right into my backyard. So we were kind of all affected by that.
So Logan is downhill from Grant?
Yes.
And Grant, how were you affected by the pipeline if it busted in your backyard?
You were still at the plantation at that time, weren't you?
No, I wasn't. I was living in, I think, was I in the plant?
No, it was before the
in an
tornado.
apartment.
It was before the tornado, yeah.
I guess I was living in the plantation, which is it's like outside of Mayflower, so it was well away from the oil spill.
So people listening outside of Arkansas and outside of, I guess this is the South, but closer to the Midwest and the South, what we deal with is tornadoes and floods.
Yeah.
I know from Miami, I dealt with hurricanes down there and tornadoes, but there's weather everywhere, and there's climate change. Should I even bring it up?
Protect the earth.
Funny thing. Chile,
is it funny, Joel? Come on. How funny is it?
It's not.
The absurdity is hilarious.
It is. Well, you gotta find humor in everything, but Chile.
Always.
When you think of Chile, you think of like earthquakes,
baby back ribs.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Baby back,
South
baby
America. They've had a tornado there, and that people have been living there 30, 40 years. They said they'd never seen a tornado there.
What?
So climate change, it's a real thing. And talk about AI earlier. Like, well, don't think human beings should live here, but I mean, through all the waste that we produce, like, it is definitely taking a toll on the earth, and our generation, I think, should rise up and kind of start moving towards the recycling, and whether it be like bottles or whatever, because there's islands in the ocean.
There's floating plastic bottles.
Oh, plastic bottles, and obviously the life in the ocean is hindered by it, and as time goes on, it's just going to be more and more waste that goes into the oceans and to these landfills that we have. And like I said, we need to do something about it, because resources are limited, and like Americans, it's a popular thing, like there's so much abundance around, and it's good to have an abundance mindset, but we got to consider the future. We have to consider the generations that are coming up.
Well, what can I do, Joel?
Well, yeah, good thing. So
throw your trash away.
Well, recycle it, and you don't need a straw to drink out of a cup.
Banning straws.
Just get a metal one.
Metal straw, that works too. And
you were just talking about islands of bottles, and people are banning straws. Come on, people.
There's a whole Gorillaz album based on environmentalism. Yeah, Plastic Beach is a metaphor for where we're heading with all these CO2 emissions and all this plastic that we're not recycling and all that. And we're just going to become this giant landfill of Earth, basically, where green is no longer in abundance, and now there's more plastic than anything. By 2050, we're predicted to have so much damage to the ozone layer that it'll be irreversible. So we really need to cut down on those emissions.
Yeah, I've heard these timelines myself.
Aerosol cans, they banned the use of what is it called? Something
CFCs.
Yeah, that's what it was, and because it's depleting
that's been
the
gone
ozone
since
layer.
the 80s.
Yeah, no
hairspray and such.
Yeah, but then before then,
we used to screw the ozone layer since then. Before then, put your hair up high.
Yeah, I obviously wasn't around in the 80s, but I've heard there was a lot of hairspray used.
There was a lot of hairspray, man. Grant, you're a proponent of hair products. You're looking good with that fine hair. And by the way, ladies, we mentioned it earlier. He is a hunk. And
Dapper young fellow.
He is the hunk of the band.
We actually call him the hunk.
The hunk. Yeah.
Incredible hunk.
The backbeat has to have a nickname.
Yes, so.
The hunk. So what do you think about climate change, Mr. Grant Leslie?
I think it's a very real thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that does not need to be ignored. I think it's something we should all try to make not happen, pretty much. I think we should, we live here. I think we should take care of the planet that we live on. So,
very good.
I mean, in Australia, they've come up with a solution as simple as just putting huge nets over their drainage pipes that drain into large bodies of water in the ocean and stuff like that. And you wouldn't believe the pictures of nets filled with plastic bottles and There's just huge nets full of plastic bottles. It's got to weigh thousands of pounds, but it's not in the ocean now.
But what do we do with these nets full of plastic bottles? Just bury them in the outback?
We turn them into something
Yeah,
else.
we could recycle them. We could, I guess, incinerate them.
Melt them down, use them for scrap.
Yeah.
All right.
I saw one guy he took strands, like he took a whole 2-liter bottle and he ran it through this like razor machine that he made, and it comes out with strands of plastic, and then he ties them together and makes rope out of them and sells the rope.
I mean, yeah, with one thing you can always make another thing.
Oh yeah, there's creative possibilities are endless.
You just gotta put the effort into being a little more conscious about the world around you and what kind of world we're gonna leave for our children.
Digging into your heads, members of SiedSwipe. Let's go this way. I got Logan Wiley, Hunter Stegall, Grant Leslie, Joel Fountain. Just getting knowledge in this educational podcast. Fellas, you got a lot of interests. Any other interest in your life that you want to go through before you start playing a couple of your original songs?
Kind of interest you got in mind?
Whatever's on your mind, man. What's on your mind, Logan Wiley?
I love doing podcasts. I learned today.
Logan actually is he's very well educated and very precise in ballet actually.
Yes.
Wicked cool, man.
I wasn't gonna say anything because I don't want to boast.
Hey, is this a joke or you haven't?
No. He's been dancing since he was 3 years old.
Dig it, man.
Yeah.
My parents thought I was a girl until
I'm okay with that. I was a dancer in high school, man. I even took fashion marketing in high school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's very good.
Yeah.
Hop like a
I
bunny.
made my own clothes for a fashion show.
Hop like a
I said
bunny.
it.
My dad's friend. He's jacked and he's like really works construction and all that, and he was a part of like the cheerleading team in high school, and they went to state championships and won.
Makes you
you
more-
wouldn't believe it if you saw him.
Chicks dig it when you dance, man. One of my first name on the radio was Dancing Danny G.
Really?
Yeah, because at every show when we do remotes, I was out there dancing. I would start the dancing on the dance floor.
Let the freak flag fly high.
You better believe it, man. Dance like everyone's watching.
Super freak.
Dude,
So you're an actual dancer then?
I wouldn't call myself an actual dancer.
But what did you learn?
Logan, remember that one time you came to practice and you showed us this marimba thing you were going to do?
Marimba?
Really?
He's very well versed in that Latin dance.
I do like to tango.
But it takes
And
two to
cash.
tango, so you always ask for
It's
a partner,
impressive.
albeit us, me helping him out, Joel helping him out, Grant helping him out, but he always needs a partner and someone to lead through it.
Yeah, we've all got our own interests and stuff, and like I said, Joel was showing me some moves, some
Taekwondo moves, some martial arts moves.
Martial arts moves. I try to benefit and show them dance moves too.
Yeah, that's wicked cool, man. Last night I had a wedding. Let's see. She was from Guatemala and he was from Little Rock, I believe. And we did a lot of salsa, merengue, and it was everyone. You had both sides, the white guys and the brown guys, and they were all dancing.
Integrate.
Oh, it was so good. Everybody's going to be brown eventually.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know,
we're
if
just all-
the world keeps going the way it is, it's good, man. Everybody love each other. That's wonderful.
Equal love, man.
Yeah. So yeah.
I see it as world peace.
The merengue was easy because it's all in the hips.
You gotta gyrate them.
Yeah. So, and Joel, you know a little bit about that, Mr. Latin. Were you your mom's dance partner growing up?
Oh man, like I said, when I did the musical, I was probably the worst dancer on the place. But I think, like we were saying earlier, like or you were saying at the wedding, like no matter what color, no matter where you come from, you can dance.
That's
right?
a universal language, my brother.
Same thing with martial arts. At my studio, or not my studio, I work at Studio Highway 10.
It's your studio, man.
Oh, no,
It's your personal dojo.
yeah, I guess so. But, we get Indians, white people, black people, Chinese people. And when you go into the dojo, when you go in the atmosphere, everybody's accepting and everybody's showing respect to one another because that's what martial arts embodies. And it's the same thing with dance. As long as you're moving your body and get along with people, then by all means.
Speaking of that, when you're outside of the dojo, as soon as you walk in, do you feel something walking through those doors?
Oh man, it's like almost like it's thicker, the atmosphere in there. But it's a building, right? It's just like got 4 walls. It's like any other building, but it's the people that enter the building, and it's the mindset that you go into that makes the atmosphere that's inviting and also a learning atmosphere too.
Feels like what a church should feel like.
Right.
You know, you walk in and
I feel like
first thing you do when you go in is you bow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the first thing you do when you leave is you bow.
Okay.
So it's a physical act that allows your mindset to activate into like a learning atmosphere, and like I said, respect too.
All right.
The way
tradition.
Oh, okay. Hunter?
The way what he was saying about how it's almost like a church feeling where y'all, everything, you know, religious or not, can be the sacred. And the thing I learned about what constitutes as a religion, one of the principles in it is what is the sacred and how can we let the sacred be known. And the thing with that is music, you could technically say music is our religion, just all 4 of us, because I mean, there's a universal place where we worship, albeit the practice room, where we sit in there and we play so loud that our ears are ringing. And, you know, that's like fasting in some traditions. You know, it's similar. You know, we deprive ourselves of all these resources and let our senses get, you know, overblown with loud sounds and all these waves.
Well, you're speaking about that, and it's leading me to another prospect or another avenue of music. And if you've noticed, I've been grabbing my nose, pinching it, and blowing my ears out, because over the years, 1986, I started on radio. That was official. And ever since then, I've been wearing headphones on the daily. And I could have been wearing headphones here, but I'm looking at the meter and I'm seeing, it looks like it's going to hit, and I'll put it through my Adobe Audition and make sure that all the levels go right. But hearing loss, that could be a big part of rock and roll playing. Yeah. What do you think about that, Mr. Backbeat Grant Leslie?
I agree. I actually wear ear protection when we practice.
Very good. And you practice in the other room. We're here in the living room, and you practice in the room on the other side of this wall.
Yes. Oh well, we also practice in that room too. But when I'm at my home, I have my actual acoustic drums out, not the electric set, and so it's much louder. And so in order to not damage my ears, I wear very soundproof headphones.
Now you say you have an electronic drum set and
so there's the electronic drum sets in that room, and then my acoustic kit's at my house. But that one was donated to me, my acoustic kit.
The acoustic kit, okay.
Yes.
And the which one do you like playing better?
The acoustic kit.
That feels better to you.
It feels way better. It's real.
How so?
It's real. It's an actual drum kit. It's not a piece of
cow skin.
Real cow skin.
No, we went through that. It's not cow skin, is it?
No,
it was some kind of plastic
it's
covered.
The skin of our enemies.
Yeah. Slain.
That's right.
With those spears that you sharpened earlier.
Yeah. Sharpen your spears and conquer your fears.
Oh, all right. So, and then the electronic one. What's the advantage of that?
I mean, the good thing about the electric kit is that you can turn it down. Like you can adjust the volume on it. So I mean, if you don't want it too loud, if you still want to practice, it's not. But that's the thing with the acoustic kit, you can't turn it down. You know, it's acoustic. It's however, it's going to be as loud as it was made to be. You know what I'm saying? So,
and you have to plug it into some kind of amplification for it to be heard.
The electric kit, yes, you have to plug in the.
It's easier to move.
It's easy. It is easier to move. The electric kit is, but I mean, I think the acoustic kit's just worth it.
Do you mic the electric kit? I mean, the acoustic kit as well?
Yes, when we're live, sometimes at some shows that require miking on the drums, we'll mic the whole kit up. And like when we're in the studio, we mic the whole kit up. So
So even in studio?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In a smaller space, you'll mic the drum kit up.
Yes.
All right. So hearing loss, Hunter Stegall?
I try to protect my ears as much as I can, but sometimes I'm not available to the resources that are used for that. So we played this one house show a couple weeks ago, and this is such a confined space that I would have to crank my amp all the way up to even hear myself, and even then I don't even think I mixed myself as well as I could have. But the thing about being in a cramped space like that with hearing is that the feedback is this high-pitched screeching thing, and it just pierces through your eardrums and reaches your brain. And by the end of the show, because we played about 40 minutes to an hour, by the time I left, my body had just been oversensitized, and like my senses were just on fire.
Yeah, my ears
But
are
it's
ringing.
also a good feeling in a weird way, because you know you did your job and you know you did it effectively.
After DJing a show, and I try to stay behind the speakers. I know a lot of people set up there, especially like a karaoke show, they'll set up in front of the speakers and they'll have the full blast. I set up behind the speakers, or the speakers are next to me, and I still come home with ears ringing, and I'm still hearing that tone. It's right there. You know, I know hearing loss it's happening. What do you think, Logan Wiley?
Man, I definitely agree that it is horrible and that you should protect your ears, but I show the least concern, even though I know it's terrible. I love to listen to music no matter what. Even when we're playing, I like to feel it, not just hear it. And even when I'm listening to headphones, I can't turn it like halfway up unless I'm preoccupied doing something. If I'm here to listen to music, I want to feel every part of the music I'm listening to.
Every bit of it.
And when I'm one of my favorite things to do, and this is we were talking about, he has the dad bod, you have the dad jokes, well I have the dad hobbies.
Okay.
I like to mow the yard and listen to music while I'm doing it.
That's gotta make your mom and dad happy.
Oh yeah, well, when I was little, I thought it was a cool little go-kart, but you know, now that I've started driving for a couple years, you know, 7 miles an hour isn't that entertaining anymore.
Just going through the motions.
But it is cool to just, especially take my shirt off, get a good tan going. You know,
all right.
Well, speaking of getting a good tan going, do you guys want to play?
Yeah, Joel Fountain.
Yeah, you got to hit him.
Joel, Joel, I'm sorry.
In-ear monitor or ground or wedge monitor? What's your? We'll take it the hearing loss from that angle.
Well, I do in-ear monitor all day because it protects your ears, and at the same time you can hear what's going on.
And you look cool.
And yeah, you look cool too. But
like a businessman.
I've already got some symptoms of tinnitus. I think that's the name of the what happens after. But sometimes I just get ringing in my ears, just even after or not even playing music, and I've definitely damaged my hearing over the while. I've still got awesome hearing. I'm still a young guy, but I don't know if I get it just from like my health or from playing music, but I've already got symptoms of it. So, but you think of deaf musicians, you think of Beethoven, and cool thing about it was, he wasn't deaf for the majority of his life, but when he wrote the most famous pieces of music was when he was deaf. So there's like stories I remember from school, like he as he was going deaf, like he put his ear on the piano just to get like the vibration of it, just to get it. So I think to make the music, you don't necessarily have to hear it. As long as you can play it in your head and you can hear it in your head, then you can give it to other people and other people can experience it.
He would feel the vibrations, and
it's actually very hard if you.
Yeah, I know. It made him probably love the music even more.
I don't think I want to go deaf just to write the Great American Symphony.
Yeah.
I made myself deaf so I could write the greatest song in the world.
The greatest
it's not
tragedy.
Like he's enjoying the compliments right now either.
The greatest tragedy would be to write one of the best songs ever written and not have the pleasure of hearing it.
Oh. Well, Grant's itching to play.
I am too.
You got places to be? What are you doing the rest of your day?
He's just an ENTJ.
Going back to the psychology. All right. What are you guys doing with the rest of your day after this?
I may go play 18 after we practice.
What? Golfer too?
Oh, yeah, man.
See, you didn't even mention that.
I mean, I suck, but I enjoy it.
Fine. I'm a putter myself, man. I don't. I've never hit the links. But I enjoy putt-putt, the angles of it, the geometry of it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Math.
Yeah.
But what's good about golf, man?
Man, I just, I know me and my dad used to play when I was little, and I was on the golf team in high school, and I just enjoy even though I suck, I enjoy, like, you gotta know what club to pick, and it's up to your discretion, and it's like, okay, I have this far to go, and then the rest is up to me, and if you succeed, then it's awesome, which I don't know what that feeling feels like, but...
Another avenue of release for Logan Wiley, man.
I love it. I played sports almost all my life, and then I quit to be in a band, and
played sports.
No regrets.
Logan!
Yeah, when I was little, I was actually on a baseball team, and it was a traveling baseball team, and we played 2 World Series in St. Louis.
Man, I could split this podcast up into 4 with all the stories that you guys can tell.
Stories,
oh, there's so much.
All right. Well, we'll definitely get into getting the individual medley. Go, Hunter.
What was the question beforehand? Okay, we're playing a show in June 21st and the 22nd in Russellville. It's at a festival. We're playing 2 sets.
Yes.
It's for this music and art promotional group, Optica Productions, I believe is what it's called. It's run by a guy called Griffin Buckley. You should check him out.
All right.
He's a musician as well. We played at his house a couple of times. And we're playing there. It's going to be a lot of camping and a lot of art and a lot of tarot card readings. And
what?
It's going to be by the lake. It's a campgrounds. It's going to be really fun.
Multifaceted.
It's a lot of cool bands. A band from Mayflower we know. They're a couple grades above us called Exit 101. They're playing there too. So a lot of acts we know are going there, and a lot of people. So it's just going to be a large gathering of friends, and I think everybody would have a good time coming by.
Before we finish this section up and get into the rock playing, what are the future shows? There's one. What's coming up?
Taylor's Made, August 17th.
Yes, from 7 to 10.
7 to 10. It's actually, I think, Logan's birthday.
He'll be the big 19.
Happy birthday, Logan. Yeah. And Taylor's Made's a great venue. It's an outdoor venue, so if it's raining, hey, that's bad, but they have a nice stage, and there's a big screen behind them that they can put up your pictures or put lights up on it. It's
actually how we got in the situation.
Nice venue.
We were supposed to play there.
What was
last month?
What was the first venue that you guys played?
The first show we ever played was the talent show at our high school.
We were in ninth grade.
We were in 9th grade.
2014.
Me, Logan and Hunter.
14.
Yeah,
and this is as the 4 of you.
There's
3 of
The
us.
3 of you
until March.
3 piece and a biscuit.
Until March, it was the biggest show we've played because we had the high school and middle school all in the gym. And it was like playing in an arena. It was a great first experience.
It was the very first show.
It kind of showed us what could be. We didn't get a really small first show, so it was like we left there feeling 10 feet tall.
For sure.
And it was great because we were only 14 years old and we were playing along people who were like 17, 18. And we had put so much effort in this. We were doing this for
you can't tell by the way
2 months straight.
But we put a lot of effort into it.
It was pretty rough, but we did it for 2 months straight, getting this whole routine. It was a medley of songs. We did Smells Like Teen Spirit, Welcome to the Jungle, a little bit of Weezer in there. We ended with another Nirvana song,
Who handled the vocals on that one?
Well,
no one. We just jammed it. It was a medley.
Just jamming.
We didn't have a vocalist.
No vocals.
Until we got our second guitar player and our next guitar player, Will.
Which about the same time Joel came in. So.
And then Will and Hunter would sing just a little bit for a while, but then like shortly after Will getting in the band, Joel got in, and then he was our lead singer. And then Joel left, and then it was just us with Will for a while, and then Joel came back, and then Joel left again. And then Will left, and so it was just us 3 for a while, and then we
just
were
jamming or any vocals.
Me and him.
We tried to do vocals.
Okay.
We take turns.
And then, months after doing that, we decided to let Joel come back in.
He came back with his tail between his legs, or his I guess his black belt between his legs.
Joel was very willing to come back in.
He came in strong.
That's hot.
We all knew what we wanted because I think the times when we were a 3-piece, we were really just experimenting to see what our core sound was, how to become powerhouses at our instrument. And Joel came in and he was just ready, and he knew we meant business, and it was like unspoken. We all just knew it,
Yeah, there was some conflict, because Joel, like you said, he was very passionate about his martial arts, and we didn't want to interfere with that and make him have to choose between or anything like that.
Him do his thing until he got free enough, and then
Hunter actually reached out to me. He was like, "Would you want to jam sometime?" And I was honored. I had
seen you come to a couple of our shows, and I was like, if you can appreciate just us as musicians, you're with the vision, and I feel like you'd be more than down to put some stuff over it. You seem driven enough to show up to just see us, and I took that it was very flattering.
For sure. I mean, it was like I was a fan of the band, before. And if you're a fan of it, then you'll find yourself doing it. So no matter what it is. So at the Black Earth show, music you guys played was awesome, and I was the whole time, just gyrating, banging my head, and everybody's, just hanging out, but I was the only one that was like, all right, hell yeah, and then, they want me to come back in the band. I was like, sure.
Yeah, man.
So, all right, so it's very recent that you've been back in the band. So Black Earth,
late February.
So Black Earth, you weren't even in it.
He was in the crowd.
He was
I know you were there.
At the second or third Black Earth show. We had done 2 prior, and then we wanted to come back, and because we're very competitive people.
Yes.
We want to make sure if we're playing with people, we're giving our A game, because we don't want people to see our weaker sides.
Sure.
So we want to make sure, just in case they're going all out, we want to make sure we're up to par.
It was nice that you were very accommodating to Joel to let him do what he needed to do to get his life in order.
Yeah, and we needed to find a stable point where everyone was ready to take the next step.
It was his
and
time.
This time we had finally branded ourselves and figured out what we wanted as a band and original-wise, because as a 5-piece, when we had everybody, we didn't know exactly what we'd want. There were so many creative differences, and the interpersonal communication was so hard with 5 people. But ever since we worked that out, and now we're a 4-piece, it just seems like we've all kind of bonded, unspokenly.
Well, it doesn't hurt that Joel's got the sweet practice space as well.
Joel offered that. I was like, this dude's got to stay in. This dude's got us the setup.
It'd be awkward practicing at some random guy's house.
So I was like,
well, he's breaking into people's houses.
We'll keep him. We love it. We love
play,
music.
Where do they find out about your shows online?
Go to our Instagram. It's at SiedSwipe.
SIED swipe.
One word.
Follow us on Snapchat.
At SiedSwipe.
Tinder.
Facebook.
Yes.
Facebook.
FarmersOnly.com.
Swipe right.
Swipe right.
Christian Mingle.
We're on Christian Mingle.
Christian Mingle. All right.
We also have 2 original songs that we put out on our SoundCloud, and that's the same thing, SiedSwipe, SIED, swipe. As our name on the profile, it's first name Sied, last name Swipe.
Dig it.
Go and check our originals that we just put out, because we were working on the studio. Ground is one of them. You'll be hearing that. And then our second one, OG2, is on there. And we're going to be playing a 4th one called Shatter. And you're going to hear that when we get off this. But it'll be on SoundCloud very soon.
All right, boys. Any last words from Joel Fountain?
Well, thanks so much, Keys Dan, for doing this. I had a good time talking, and I feel like I learned a bit more about the guys, just from talking, and I think they learned a little bit more about me too.
Oh, of course.
I thought it was a good experience overall, and it's going to be good music. So,
last words, Grant Leslie.
I just thank you for the experience. This is my first podcast, and had an excellent time doing this. It was, like Joel said, I think we actually did learn a lot about each other just from sitting here talking for a few hours. So, but thank you for the experience.
Last words, Hunter Stegall.
Thank you, Keys Dan, for having us. Check out What Makes You Famous, because there's a lot of cool people on here, a lot of people you get to know, and this is Hunter from SiedSwipe signing off.
I guess it's not a shameless plug if you say it. Last words from, who's that guy? Logan Wiley.
Logan Wiley.
Yeah, Wiley Coyote on his shoulder.
It seems pretty cliche, but at this point, since I'm last, but I appreciate you letting us be on it, and it's my first podcast, and like Joel said, and learned a lot about the guys. We don't just sit down and have rehearsed podcasts, but yeah, I appreciate it. I think you're an ESTJ.
Yeah, we would have edited out that Perdcast.
Take the 16 personalities test after the podcast.
Go to 16personalities.com and take the test.
Our bet is ESTJ.
ESTJ.
You heard it from the ENFP, the ENTJ.
I don't take personality test, but you know what? I just might. I just might, because you said.
Give it a try. Give it a try. I'd be interested. It helps me get to know people.
Yeah, I found out I was a Samantha, and then it's all over.
Yeah. It's like,
I think I'm a Rachel. Really, I'm just a Chandler.
It's like, what do you think? What do you think I am? Some sort of Nancy?
Yeah.
All right, guys.
He's Slytherin, baby.
Ooh, glycerine.
All right, party people, we're going to get into the music with SiedSwipe.
Let's go.
Well, there you have it, party people. The band of SiedSwipe. Joel Fountain on the front with, he's playing a little guitar now. You got Hunter Stegall. Hunter Stegall. He's playing guitar, lead, rhythm, working both sides of the fence. You got your bass player over there, Logan Wiley, with the Wiley Coyote on his arm. He's living it up, man. And then beating the skins, hanging out all the way in the back. But don't you dare count him out. It's Grant. And yeah, I had a good time talking to these fellas. Thank you so much for being on the program, SiedSwipe. If you want to tell your story on the What Makes You Famous podcast, I encourage you. Give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for this installment. I'm going to let SiedSwipe take us home. They're going to play a couple of songs. Let's see how it comes out. I recorded it with some lavalier mics on my Zoom H4n Pro. I think it, hey, it is what it is. Catch these guys live. Oh, yeah. Look for them online. SiedSwipe. Thank you very much for listening to What Makes You Famous. It's Keys Dan, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.
This one's called Round. Sharpen your skills, conquer your fears, slow your boat. Why did you take so long to come along and sing a song? Your weakness makes me rest, telling you, hear me out. We've been satisfied until I'm gone. Scream of the hound, blood battleground. Save us so, why did you stay so long?
This next song's about a vehicle called LG2.
Riding down the road and the gravel's hard. She leaves my mind without a thought. If I don't play, shoot another leg. It's not a fight. It's a V8 time. You better hold on tight. Honey, we can get any break of your life. We got one turn left around. One time, heavy metal, ringing down the road. And it's not a fight, it's a V8 time. Don't you stop, don't fight. I hope you get your coffee, baby. Now baby, I'll change my oil just for you. Got plenty of cooler to keep you cool tonight. Alright. You know, it's one of those things that you come 50 miles away. And you think to yourself, I ain't seen nothing like it. Oh, big fat tires in the back, and you say, I just gotta have one of those. Kick it! This one's called Shatter. One more. How could you be so inconsistent? All hopes and dreams, because the nail of your laser vision. Shatter, it doesn't matter. No, 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 no. You keep me bloody and rude with this part of your malsubmission. You shield me from my loved ones. I can like your indecision. Shatter, it doesn't matter. No, 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 no. Jump on your feet. I want to see your hair. Go. We are SiedSwipe. Thank you, Keith Dan, for having us on the podcast.
podcast. Tune in next time to do a couple more of these. What makes you famous? Makes you famous. He's dead.
Be on Radio What's. Call 501-470-6386. Say your name, where you're from, and you're listening to What? The music you want is on RadioWhat.com.